Well, hi everyone, and welcome to another Flight Deck to Sim live stream. Today, the 25th of March 2021, 3 minutes past 8 in the evening here in the United Kingdom, back in the beautiful ZIBO MOD 737 347.6 on a lovely 2-sector day, exploring for the first ever time to Lithuania. Now, a lot of my Lithuanian subscribers have been saying, when are you Flight Deck to Sim finally going to be coming here? Well, I said, well, let's knock it right out the park and do two-sector day, visiting two places. So, the plan is to depart from Poland, where we are now, to go to from Katowice to Palanga. Now here's what's going to possibly happen. The weather in Palanga is awful, very low visibility. I am pretty confident we'll not be going into today. So the idea behind this stream is going to give you the opportunity, perhaps for the first time, to really go into a lot of detail about what we actually do at the pre-flight planning stage if we think a diversion is incredibly likely. So we'll look at the fuel required, how we work out what alternates to select, the sort of planning minimum required, so it gives you something a little bit different for today. We're going to probably shoot an approach into Palanga regardless if an approach ban would be enforced anyway, just so we can have a look at a go around on a missed approach. And then if we can't get to Palanga, we'll continue all the way to our next destination for Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, and that would be the end of the stream. So you're going to get either one of two things today. You're going to get a normal 2 sets today, see me do 2 landings, or you're going to see me do go around diversion as well. So it's going to be exciting regardless. Anyway, that's the plan. Let me jump in here to X-Plane 11. We'll start zooming on into our aircraft. Who have we got in the Flight Deck to Sim household today? John Padfield, Toga Scott Morgan's here, says good afternoon from the air. Glad I was able to catch the stream live. I rarely get to do that. Yes, I like to shake up the times a little bit just to allow people to watch it a little bit a more accessible time to them. Obviously, for my friends in Lithuania, it's 10 o'clock in the evening, but I hope they'll at least be staying up to see this. But it gives some US guys an opportunity to watch. Paul Emerson's here. Welcome back as did you leave, Paul? I forget who comes and goes, but Paul, great to see you here, and thank you so much for your 2 years as a member. I can see you've got the alpaca logo next to your name, so 2 years as a member is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for that. We've got Delord here. V1 Rotate Club says hello. Norsky was enjoying the guitar music playing at the start here. Very, very cool. I'll speed up the old transition spin round here. Very cool. Mercury says very good evening from Vilnius. Raise your hand if you're from Lithuania. This is a very special occasion. Yes, lots of people from Lithuania here. Super cool that we're finally going to fly to Lithuania today. Thank you very much to Jordan as well, who made this Boeing themed Alpaca Airways livery. Really, really nice. If you want to grab this livery, don't forget to use the command ! livery as well, so you'll be able to use that in your ZIBO Mod 737. It looks like plenty of people will be joining you. I think it'll be probably a record for the amount of aircraft possibly flying into a destination and then diverting. Unless you want to obviously bust the minimums and get in, it'll be quite interesting to see how ATC can manage that, but we'll discuss how we're going to manage all of that today. Joao Zito says, are we going to Russia? No, not quite, but we're not going to be too far away. Awesome. So yes, let's now zoom on in, and here are the air stairs. We'll climb on into the aircraft. Whoop, there we go, and into the cockpit. There we are. So we're all ready to kick off here. So batteries on, GPUs on the bus, electric hydraulic pumps are on, landing gear lever is down, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6 green lights. Then check all the aircraft documentation to make sure it's all up to date. Let's check the squibs. And fault engine detector in op,
40,
and master caution.
30,
we have the
20,
master caution
10.
lights there, wheel well, and the fire warning lights and the horn. Thank you very much, Jake.
Loving the streams, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Jake Gilbert, for the £5 donation. We are streaming continuously until kind of end of lockdown, really. I am getting a little bit more work at the moment. I'm back in the simulator this weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. But I'm looking forward to keeping the streams coming whilst I have plenty of time off here. So thank you very much for your donation. Cool, so we've done the fault and fire tests. We'll now jump here to the overhead panel, and we won't put the seatbelt sign on. We only have 1.5 tons of fuel. Look, Jim took the ZIBO mod for a quick spin earlier and was running a little bit low on fuel by the time we get back. But now I really want to go into the kind of crux of this live stream, which is talking about what we're going to do if we can't get into Palanga today. So what I will grab is the operational flight plan. So if you look here at the Lido flight plan, I'll make the text as big as possible for those of you who have a smaller screen. There we are. So let's have a look here geographically. where we are and where we're going to be flying to. So, we're here in Katowice in Poland. Flight times are an hour 10 minutes to Palanga, where I don't think we'll be able to land today because of the visibility. They only have a Cat 1 ILS approach available. The cloud base is already overcast at 200, and the RVR, I've been looking at the METARs the past couple of hours, is dropping off very quickly. I think by the time we get there, we will not be able to get in, regardless of whether we fly an approach or not. Lee Russell, welcome as a member. Glad you enjoyed the content. You'll get invited to our members-only Discord. Enjoy your custom emojis in chat as well. Thank you very much for your membership. So, you will see that I have an alternate here of Vilnius,
40,
Echo Yankee
30,
Victor India.
20,
Now I actually selected that manually
10.
because I didn't want to go anywhere else because that's our second destination. Thanks, Pastor Escobar.
Can't stay long.
Aw.
Quick question, and I'm not quizzing you. What is the difference between airplane nose-up angle and airplane pitch angle?
What's the difference?
Hijack.
Hijack? Oh, hijack in the background, yes. What is the difference between the aeroplane nose-up angle and the aeroplane pitch-up angle? This is definitely quizzing me. Are you talking about the difference between attitude and the pitch angle? So obviously, if you look at your artificial horizon in flight, your attitude is the kind of angle which you're at in relation to the horizon, and your angle of attack is your kind of airflow angle. But I have no idea what you're coming at with that question. You are definitely quizzing me there, Pastor Escobar. But that's definitely one for the ATPL buffs, and one I probably would have been best placed to answer 12 years ago. Difference between nose-up angle and aeroplane pitch angle. Yeah, don't know. No pressure at all. Absolutely not. But, I mean, the only thing we reference daily in the 737 is your attitude, which is in relation to the horizon. And obviously, the slower you go, to maintain level flight, you have to increase your attitude to have the same amount of lift. Lift equals half rho v squared. That's as much as I remember from my ATPL theory. But, yeah, tricky question. You're always coming in occasionally with those tricky questions there, Pastor Jessica. Thank you very much, regardless. Anyway, getting back to the point of this stream here, we're going to be probably diverting to Vilnius. So at the planning stage, this is what we'll be discussing pre-flight with the crew here, with the first officer, is what we're going to do here. Let's have a look at the weather and our destination. So I think you guys have been getting the METAR up in chat and the TAF as well. I'll read it out to you pretty much right now in Palanga. It's 1,300 metres RVR, overcast 200 feet. And when we're here at the planning stage, if we ever see that the forecast within 1 hour of our ETA either side is going to be below what's required for the applicable planning minima, we need to make sure we have 2 alternates, okay? 2 alternates. Now, unfortunately in SimBrief, you only have the ability to generate 1 alternate at a time. With our Lido OFPs at my operator, we have up to 4 alternates, and we could just simply choose which ones we'd like to do. We simply strike out the planned alternate. So this one is planned obviously for only 1, but if we want another alternate, we could just simply choose one in the list. And then we also make sure we have fuel for the furthest alternate. So our alternate Vilnius is quite far away. It's around 150, 180 miles away from Palanga. So we're going to plan as that as our main alternate is that one. We'll also have Kaunas as a second alternate, which is a little bit closer. So if the weather gets bad in Vilnius, which it shouldn't do, which we'll talk about in a second as well, we'll have a backup as well. Rod Lean, thank you very much for your membership. Appreciate the direct support. Glad you're enjoying the content, and you'll get invited to our members-only Discord. Enjoy the custom emojis in chat as well. Thank you very much. Cool. So yes, that brings me to my next point. So we've now realised that the weather is currently or forecast to be below minimums at our destination, and when it comes to picking our alternates, we have to make sure that our alternates, again, the ETA within 1 hour of our estimated arrival at the alternate, is at or above something called the
50,
planning minimum,
40,
which I'm going to talk about in a
30,
second. I'm just going to say
20,
thank you very
10.
much to Brando Magnani. Thanks for the €5.
Thank you for sharing with us such a lot of information that otherwise we wouldn't have access to.
Oh, well, Brando, that's very kind. Appreciate the donation. Glad you enjoyed the video, and that's very, very kind. Thank you indeed. Very, very kind indeed. Cool. So you're still with me, guys. Excuse me whilst I don't have many pictures here, but I'm trying to describe it as simply as possible. So we're confident that our destination, well, the forecast ETA is to be outside of limits, so we need to make sure we have 2 alternates. We also need to take fuel for the furthest alternate, and we also need to make sure within 1 hour either side of our planned arrival at the alternate that the weather is above something called the planning minima. And what you need to work out is what approach type is available at your alternate, and then sort of make sure the visibility is one approach category lower, or the approach category lower, it has the visibility required to fly that approach. So put this as an example. At our alternate Vilnius, they have a Cat 2 approach available. You need to make sure you check the actual RVR. Is there any NOTAMs affecting the serviceability of that Cat 2 approach? And because it's an alternate, we need to make sure that we have, at the planning stage, the Cat 1 RVR minima. Even though it's a Cat 2 approach, we need to make sure when we get there that the forecast weather is at least at what's applied for a Cat 1 RVR minima. If only at our destination alternate a Cat 1 approach is available, we then have to make sure the visibility and the cloud base is available for at least a non-precision approach. So if it was only Cat 1 at Vilnius, we need to make sure we have non-precision RVR visibility, and additionally the ceiling, we need to make sure the cloud base is better. And then it also gets even worse. If our alternate only had a non-precision approach available, we need to have non-precision approach minima plus 1,000 meters and 200 feet on top of that. So your alternate, you need to be very confident that the weather is going to be able to for you to get in, which is why, yes, in this case today, Vilnius, it's Cat 2 only, but we need to have the Cat 1 RVR minima. Now, if we look at the METAR or the TAF in Vilnius, there is low visibility forecast, but the worst case RVR is 3,000 meters. We only need Cat 1 RVR, which, having a look at the approach chart there, is 550 meters. They are forecasting 400 meters RVR later on, though, but that's much later. That's after 3 o'clock local time, so it's outside of our ETA, so you'd be confident that you could get in, but it's still worthwhile having a look somewhere that's completely clear. Looking at Kaunas, again, they're forecasting low visibility at the same time after 3 o'clock local. We have further away Riga. Riga is clear. They're forecasting worst case an RVR of 2,000 meters. So it's very important this planning stage to make sure that you have sufficient or legally you have an alternate which is all clear according to the planning minimum stages. So yeah, I might make a tutorial on this with a few more diagrams, because just explaining it to you verbally, it can be a little bit more difficult to understand, but let me know in chat if you've kind of got the gist of it. Based on the fact that I've selected Vilnius as the kind of planned alternate and the fuel alternate, we need 5.8 tons of fuel, 2.6 divert, and that's just the minimum required. This doesn't take into account the fact that you might be having to hold. There might be other aircraft delayed getting into the destination, so you need to make sure that you have sufficient fuel to allow for delays. In these situations, you really need to put extra fuel on, because this is just based on this block fuel.
50,
Flying approach,
40,
full missed approach
30,
procedure, diverting,
20,
landing at Vilnius
10.
with our final reserves intact. There you go. Josh Reynolds, thank you very much for the £6.26.
Hey Cat, managed to catch an actual live stream for once. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very
Airplane.
much. Oh, thank you very much for Airplane donation as well, Josh Reynolds. Thank you very much for the £6.26 donation. Superb. Right, so yeah, let's whack on an extra hour's worth of fuel. If I was doing this sector tonight, I'd want an extra hour's worth of fuel to allow me to do 2 approaches. If after the first approach is pretty obvious we're not getting in, we'll divert straight away. If we get there and the visibility is 100 meters, we're not even going to fly an approach. We'll just carry on straight away to Vilnius. Won't even get anywhere near the airport. So extra 2.4 tons on top of that's going to be 5.8 plus 2.4 is 8.2, so we're going to go for 8.2 tons of fuel. We'll put that in here, fuel 8.2. Anyway, I hope that I feel like I haven't explained it quite well. I think I got all the information across. Whether you didn't understand anything, let me know in the cruise, because I'm quite busy, obviously, at this stage to answer every query. But if you have any confusion with regards to what I was explaining, let me know. Cool, so that's the fuel. We'll also need the passengers, so 150 passengers executed, and we can now start the flight leg. Let's carry on with the rest of the setup here. So I've been chatting away. Well, no, we'll wait until we've got the fuel done. Attend. And config check. Flaps are up, matching the flap indicator position. Let's check the fuel, the cargo fire system. That's all looking okay. 2000 standby for now. Rudder and radar trim is 3 and 0. Manual gear extension door is closed. Circuit breakers are all in. Working our way up here. Stall warning test. Mach airspeed warning test. Let's try and... There we go. Just need to make sure the off-light extinguishes. We're not using VHF3. Iris to nav. And circuit breakers are all in on the captain's side, and we've already started the boarding. So let's just grab the ATIS here in Katowice. The frequency is 120225. I already have it on standby. Let's see if it's working on voice today.
Here's BR, no significant clouds. Temperature 0 to 2.00 QNH 1020 for ADC clearance contact 129.250. When airborne contact approach on 121.075. End of information, Charlie.
So information, Charlie. Sim's running 12 hours behind lifetime, by the way.
This is Katowice information, Charlie, time 2000 Zulu. Expect Delta arrivals for ILS approach runway 27, departures runway 27. Transition level 80. Wind calm. Visibility 4,000 meters, BR, no significant clouds. Temperature 0 to 2.00 QNH 1020 for ADC clearance contact 129.250. When airborne contact approach on 121.075.
That was
End of information, Charlie.
That was a busy ATIS. Well, I just about got all the information there. So we got information, Charlie, 2,000 meters. Sorry, 4,000 meters visibility, mist, temperatures 2 degrees, QNH 1020. So we get the QNH set. It is 2 degrees, but the visibility is more than 1 statute mile. Are we in freezing conditions? Not based off that information, but you'd have a careful look outside, check for standing water. Is there any ice on the aircraft as well? We'll save for today's case that's not the case. Jim's done a thorough walk around, and the aircraft is free of contamination. So QNH is 1020. That's indicating the elevation, which here is exactly 1,003 feet. There we are, 1,003 feet. We'll set the MFRA here to 2,000. There we are, 2,000 feet coming up. So yeah, all the information I gave you about the planning minimum is loosely based off my operator's SOPs. I've chosen sort of an alternative Vilnius because that's where we'd like to end up. Perhaps I might even go to Riga with that forecast. Oh my goodness me, someone's bought a baby onesie, KS Moen 84. Oh, you legend. Oh my goodness me, baby onesies are one of our hot products. the Flight Deck to Sim store. Thank you very much, man. That's so cool. I'm so sorry I couldn't see the comment. It comes up so tiny in the top left hand corner of Streamlabs, and it doesn't come up in chat, so thank you so much. Very very kind, thank you. Petrich, oh my god, someone bought merch. That hasn't happened in ages. Did you not watch the last stream, Petrich? We were selling merch left, right and centre on the way in the alpaca beluga, but I appreciate all the merch purchases. Thank you so much, very kind. Right, so let's now get some lighting. Background lighting, AFDS lighting, and now it's time to load up the flight management computer. So latest AirAC straight from Navigraph, updated today, 2103. I did quickly check to make sure it worked with the ZIBO mod, which it does. We are in Katowice, Echo Papa Kilo Tango, and we're going to go GPS left, and then we're going to go to Echo Yankee Papa Alpha. Palanga, my Lithuanian friends. I've been practicing my pronunciations all day. Apart from the developer of this payware scenery, I still can't pronounce that. Dr. Zelensky. Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec sound call sign today. 80 said departure runway 27, expecting a Navam to Mike. Nava to Mike. From Nava, November 744 to Offbore. And from Offbore, November 133 to Gruda. Oops, slight typo there. So Golf Romeo Uniform Delta Alpha. From Gruda, November 191 to Nickme. And from Nickme, Papa 733 to Ilpit. Guys, do bear with me in chat as well. Obviously, we just want to get the show on the road here. I'll have a bit more capacity and time in the cruise to answer any queries, but I'll have a look at chat where I can here on the ground. Iplit to Bravo 74. A lot of typing for such a short sector, an hour's flight time. Tignu is next. And from Tignu, Mike 155 to Valov. There we are, so arrivals, expecting a Valov 2 Bravo for ILS 19er via the Napa's transition. Activated, we'll execute it at this stage. Just quickly check the plan page for any discontinuities, make sure it's all looking good. Oh, did that just jump? Just make sure that didn't jump. Papa Alpha 606, 505, 601 Napas. Nope, that looks all good here. We've already executed the flight plan. So back to the map page. Index performance 0 fuel weight 55.7. So this is quite important. Always alternate. We need to bear this fuel figure in mind today as well, because it's likely a diversion. The risk of diversion is high, so it is 2.6 tons. This is the amount of fuel to fly a missed approach at your destination. Full missed approach to the missed approach procedure, then the departure to your alternate, cruising at your alternate flight level, and then a full arrival approach into your alternate, and then ensuring that you land with your final reserves intact. So if we had 2.6 tons when we divert, we should be landing with our final reserve, or hopefully just above it, which is this figure here, 991 kilos. That is 30 minutes of fuel holding at 1500 feet above aerodrome level, and we must do everything to protect this fuel figure in flight. We must never ever get below this. If we do see we're going to be landing with less than this figure of fuel, we have to declare a mayday, because we're going to be landing with less than 30 minutes of fuel remaining before the engines flame out. Sounds pretty nasty, but that's the situation. Now, don't forget, we've taken an additional hour's worth of fuel, so if all goes well, we should be landing in Palanga with an additional 2.4 tons. We should be landing with 5 tons in Palanga, which is a nice chunky amount of fuel to allow us to as we mentioned earlier, have at least one shot of the approach, have a little bit of a think in a hole before we decide what we need to do next. Sweet, so cost index is 30. We're going to be cruising at flight level 380 today, so 38,000 feet. That is executed. We'll have a look at that restriction later. Top of climb wind is 266 and 24. The average wind is pretty much identical, so I'm not going to put that into the legs route data page. Top of climb minus ISA is -3. Takeoff performance here, so full 22k, 90.8. Looked at performance earlier. Should be able to take the Sierra intersection. We're going to brief the taxi SID very shortly. And flat 5. CG, let's just make sure the fueling's all done. It is... How much fuel did we say we're going to take? Was 5.8 plus 2.4, so 8.2. Yeah, that's fine. 8.1 in the tank, so a little bit of fuel in the centre tank. Only 300 kilos. I'm not going to put the centre tank fuel pump on until we get to 10,000 feet. V-speed to set 144, and CG is 21.9, it's going to be a trim of 5.75, so V to 144, which is set, and the trim 5.75 units as well. Oops, just try and get a better view here. There, our trim is set. Right, have a little look at chat. Toga says DA and decision height, the same thing essentially. You make decision at that point to continue the landing or go around. However, DA is reference to MSL and DH is reference to ground level. Yeah, DA is based off above ground level. Quite right. Very good, Toga. What's on the flight service menu today? Says Runway. We've got alpaca burgers and rum. Enjoy. Martin Shepherd, finally here. Looking forward to this. Thank you very much. Phil Tomlinson said hi, flight deck to sim, and that's about it. How much do you trust Trim? Really, says Scott Morgan. Enough to allow him to do the walk around. Just about. Right, FMS is loaded. Performance is complete. Onto the overhead panel. Yaw dampers on. Nav transfer and display switches are normal auto. Fuel 4 pumps on. We're not going to put the centre tank pumps on. Yes, we do have a little bit of fuel there, but you know what's going to happen. As soon as you push Toga, start barrelling down the runway, you'll have used all the fuel in the centre tank. You're going to get a big fat master caution. And what do we do below 80 knots with that? We stop, and we don't want to do a rejected takeoff for that. So when we have typically less than a ton of fuel in the centre tank, we'd leave the centre tank pumps off until 10,000 feet. That's the cross seat valve checked. Cabin utility EYVI galley powers on. IDG switches are closed. All looking good here. Put the seatbelt sign on. Imagine the cabin is secure. Window heat's on. We're not in freezing conditions, but so I'm going to put the probe heat on anyway because it is 2 degrees with the visibility dropping. Trim air's on. Pax auto. Isolation valve. Sorry, 1 open. 2. No, it goes 380. That was me earlier testing the go around diversion, which worked okay. And the elevation in Palanga was right on the coast. It can't be too high. 32 feet, so we'll put 50. That should be on steady. Flight director's on. Let's have a little look here at our taxi and SID. So, here we are. We're on stand number 15, right in the corner of the main terminal. There we are, stand 15. It's going to be a push back to face east, or possibly west in out via Alpha. We'll confirm with ATC. And then it can be a little bit confusing here with the taxiway. If you go onto the northern taxiway here, where these hotel points are, you won't be able to go full length without going right then left, but we have done our performance from Sierra, so we can take the Sierra intersection, otherwise it'll be full length via Tango for runway 27. Sits the Naver to Mike, and it's RNAV SID, so RNAV 1 required with GNSS, and we're going to be climbing to 6,000 feet initially, so we'll put 6,000 feet here on the MCP, plus 100, just remind us we don't have the clearance. The runway QDM is 265, so we'll set 265 on the runway heading. There is 265 and 265. Perfect. So it does say for us, climb straight ahead, Kilo Tango 644. That's there, Kilo Tango 644, max 230 knots at or above 4,000 feet. Kilo Tango 644, 230 knots at or above 4,000 feet. So we've got the first waypoints. Then going to make a right turn to Kilo Tango 653 at or above 6,500, which is just slightly above our expected SID stop altitude, but we'll get further climb by then. Then go to Lopmu, flight level 110 above, that checks at the FMS, and then a left turn to Navia. There it is, Navia. And by that point we're up at 26,000 feet. So that's all good. Climb gradients like this, never an issue for the 737. Even in the event of an engine failure, but in an engine failure here, I haven't looked at the exact data, but we'll climb straight ahead to the MSA, which is, I believe, 3,000 feet. 3,200, so go to 4,000 in the event of an engine failure. Cool, so that's it. I think we've done all the briefings, everything's ready, we've got our fuel, we've briefed to death what we're going to do if we have to divert, so we're actually okay for time, 30 minutes, plus the extra explanation, so we'll now grab the clearance. Petra says Taxi Hotel used to be the runway. They then built a new runway which is exactly the same length and width as the old one, and hotel became a taxiway. Well, there you go. There is the old runway in Katowice. I had no idea. Very cool. It looks like a Wizz Air has just landed. Right, let's see if we can grab our clearance now. We have just Tower online. Let's give it a whirl. Katowice Tower, very good evening. Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, stand 15. Got information Charlie, QNH 1020, departure clearance to Palanga, please.
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, good evening. Katowice Tower, cleared Palanga, Navur 2 Mike, departure out of runway 27, squawk 4543, Charlie, correct.
Cleared to Palanga on the Naver to Mike, departure runway 27, squawk 4543, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec.
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, read back correct.
Cool, so we've got all that sorted. We've got 6,000 feet. If they don't give you an altitude, expect what's ever's charted on the SID stop altitude. If it's not that, they'll specifically tell you. And the squawk 4543. 4543. There we are. And we'll put that to out off because we'll be pushing back very shortly. Get the APU started. And at this stage, we'd complete all the briefings with the pilot monitoring, check the routing, make sure we have sufficient fuel, check the instrumentation, complete our emergency briefings, and you've already seen me complete the taxi and SID briefing. We then complete the checklists. I've just spotted something eagle-eyed viewers would have spotted that before me. Order break to RTO as part of that profile. Very good. I think we're all good. Trim we did set. Perfect. They do have a VOR here. It is an RNAV SID, but I'll just tune the VOR 14.8. Put that active. There we go. That's the CAX VOR. It's superb. Right, APU's almost ready to go. We'll get the better pushback connected. And connect first.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Sounds very authentic. Very good. Oh, look, doors. Remembered today. Right, so ground services, retract the air stairs. Closing the door. Sometimes you can see it, but it sounds like... there we are, the number one was very quick to slam that shut. Very good. GJ says, good evening, Captain. Good evening to you. Dynasty 001 says, and we're off, almost there. Marwin says, close the doors, just about remembered. List of it, so Katowice? I think I'm doing the pronunciation okay. Olo Giancarlo and Scott Morgan spotted the RTO, well spotted. Very good. So, yes, in real life, if I was doing this exact sector, we've chosen Vilnius as our alternate.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed and we are ready to connect.
As our furthest alternate. Later on, way before we should get there, after 1 AM, they are forecasting RVR actually quite low, 400 metres as well, quite foggy at our alternate. So in reality, I'd probably be looking at an alternate even further away, just to be crystal clear, and actually taking the fuel as an option, as a backup. And the nearest sort of large airport we have near us with kind of like an autoland facility is Riga. Now, for today's stream, I'm just demonstrating the fact that we're going to go to Vilnius as our alternate because it is our second planned destination. But with that forecast visibility, later on, way past our ETA, falling below what's required at the planning stage, we'd actually look for an alternate even further away, which is crystal clear. And here's Riga. It's a massively, you can see how far away it is from Palanga, but the thing is, it's a different country. So that's what I'd possibly select. I've just chosen Vilnius because, that, as I said, it's a second destination, but also we have Cat 2 available and it's fully serviceable, and the RVR even shouldn't be going below that stage, but I'm just saying from a planner minimum point of view, we need to make sure we have Cat 1 RVR. Sweet. Rue Fortune says, I love the ambient sounds in this mod, really considering getting the ZIBO just for the sounds. Sound designing is the most important thing in flight sim, in my opinion. Very true, and we actually have a member, one of our members on the channel is blind, so I know he really appreciates the immersion that sound gives. But you shouldn't be getting just the ZIBO mod for sound. It is obviously sounding great, but it is also one of the most accurately replicated 737s in a desktop simulator. That's another great reason for getting it. Right, let's request push and starts. Alpaca 1, Lima, Quebec, stand 1-5, request push and start.
Alpaca 1, Lima, Quebec, QNH 1020, push and start is approved, face east.
And push start approved facing east, Alpaca 1, Lima, Quebec. So, just get rid of the ground power. Oh, it's already disconnected, so I think it's just part of the mod. So,
straight ahead via Sierra Holding by Runway 27.
oh,
Ground to cockpit, please show me where you want to go.
so facing east.
Sierra Hold, Runway 27, 99 Bravo.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Please parking brake.
How busy is it here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh dear. Right, below the line. Packs off. Anti-collision light is on. Parking brake is released. And transponder is off. Checks complete.
In front of me and
Starting pushback and remember start the engines.
Excellent. Bennis, what is the estimated UTC on Vilnius arrival? So the plan, Bennis, just to make sure you're happy, the plan is to fly to Palanga. This is the scheduled flight today. We should get into Palanga within an hour and 10 minutes. If we don't get in, what we're going to do is divert to Vilnius, and I should think by the time I've flown an approach, gone to a hold and decided what to do, and then divert, that's probably going to be an hour 45 flight time. Airstead stowed, we should better double check. Yes, good here. Right, start now, engine number 2. So visibility here, here in Katowice is okay. It's 3,500 metres with no cloud, so we can easily get in here. There's a Cat 1 ILS approach if we have any major problems. We can,
50, 40, 30, 20.
Thank you very much, Incree
10.
0002 for the £2 donation. That's 25%. Give me 2 seconds, bud. Just check the engines spooling up correctly, which you should do. In real life, you never know. Tom C, what's your camera field of view in the settings? 105, sir, 105. So, starter cut out, 1 trigger, 2, 4632, stable, starting now, engine number 1. Ikri says, hello Captain, hope all is well, best regards from Sunny Malta. Thank you very much, Ikri 002, one of my members on the channel, has been here a very long time, and I hope you're enjoying your new job still.
Operation complete.
Happy to hear about the changes you've had, so thank you very much, buddy. Ed 2,
Connector go, stand by.
Ed 1, and oil pressure. 25%, didn't check out the first one, but try and check that smart valve. Oh, you can't see because of the overlay. Forget this overlays on the top of this. Do you guys have a minimum visibility for takeoff? Excellent question. Very much based on the runway, what lights are available, what facilities. We have approval to take off with an RVR as low as 125 metres, but you have to have runway centre line lighting, 90 metre visual segment, runway edge lighting, LVPs in force, ILS tunes, all this sort of stuff here. We'll have a look at the chart here, see what the RVR is required. They've got certainly runway edge lighting here.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right and have a safe flight.
Stefan says, have you accidentally said alpaca at your call sign in real life? The real aircraft? No, but I've been so close. In the sim, yes, I have said alpaca. It really annoyingly comes first hand instead of Japan Air. Just be another 30 seconds, Alpaca 1, leave it Quebec. There we are, bypass pin seen, tugs there, so we'll do this nice and nifty. Generators
Alpaca 1A1 ready for push and start.
Anti-ice, yep, that's on. And flaps to flight controls. And I know I'm rushing this in real life. We never get pressured by someone behind us requesting taxi. You just do everything at the normal pace. Otherwise, you start rushing, you'll forget something. And checks and flows are your last way of ensuring that you've got everything correct apart from the checklist there. So I'm happy I've got it done. We'll request taxi. Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec request taxi.
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec taxi holding runway 27 via aircraft tank.
Taxi holding point runway 27 via Echo and where confirmed, sorry?
Say straight ahead, Echo and Tango.
Echo Tango, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec. It's just very quiet for me. Right, there's parking brake released. Clear left, and oh, it looks like one of the passengers is looking for us. Clear right, config checked. No takeoff config warning, and we are on our way. Perfect.
After departure, contact Kraków approach 121.075.
So let's get that taxi chart up again. So straight ahead to Tango we'll go, and we'll win a little bit of a queue, but it looks like they're getting everyone away. Josh Gorka, mixture full reach. Listen, most 737, yeah, sorry, takeoff, that was an excellent question by, I can't remember who that was, regarding takeoff RVR requirements. Here you have your takeoff RVR visibility. So you think of minimums of visibility and RVR requirements for approaches, but there's also requirements for takeoff as well. So you'll see here for a low visibility takeoff, if you have high intensity runway lighting, centre lighting and RVR reports, you can have an RVR as low as 125 metres, and you also have to have approval for that from your operator, which my operator does have. So it's lower than you'd get even for a Cat 3 approach, which has an RVR of no less than 200 metres. So even if there was just lighting on the runway, 200 metre requirement, daytime only, it gets quite restrictive at night if lights start going out, especially for approaches. But here you go, we've got 3,000 metres, so it's a non-issue. I'm not a fan of the Jepperson's layout of this. On my operator's charts are a lot clearer. So my operator's SOP chart here on our takeoff minimum chart, it literally says what we want to see for our operator. So it says LVPs have to be enforced. For 125 metres you need high intensity centre line lighting, high intensity runway edge lighting, and multiple RVR reports. So it's a little bit different there. Cool. Oh, we called you. Did he call me? Oh, I'm so... or is the chat a bit late there? Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, sorry, did you call?
Yep, 1 Lima Quebec, confirm, are you able to depart from intersection Sierra, so it's the first left turn?
Stand by. There's Sierra ahead. That could be cheeky. Yeah, we're able to Sierra Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec.
1 Lima Quebec, perfect. So left onto Foxtrot, then Sierra holding by runway 27.
Left Foxtrot hold Sierra for runway 27, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec.
Alpaca 320, QNH 1020, push and start is approved, facing east.
Restart flight 15, Alpaca 320, QNH 1020.
Best do the before takeoff
Alpaca
checklist.
5.
So config we checked, flaps we have.
Wind, calm runway 27.
5 green light, stab trim is set for departure. I'm trying to see down here. Oh, right, hold on, let me just try and stand the taxi line before I start checking things down here. It's a lot easier in real life to taxi whilst moving your head around. Stab trim is set for departure, 5.8 units set, so takeoff briefing. Pax auto bleeds on, the V speeds are set, 37, 38, 44. Departures going to be a Nava to Mike, straight ahead, Kilo Tango 644, right turn, Kilo Tango 653. Stop altitude 6,000 feet set on the MCP. Any problems will climb straight at 4,000. NADP 2. And we are, checks complete, we're fully ready. Bill says, passed my UKIR rating today. Super happy. Congratulations. Very, very good. God, look at that Airbus go. I've never seen one move so fast. Must not have a nice little runway excursion. Or incursion, sorry. Don't get bottled between the two. An excursion is when you go off the edge of the runway. on the end. A runway incursion is crossing this line without clearance. Are you jumping the queue? Says John Padfield. Nothing to do with me.
If you can't see behind you, there is another traffic, and if you can't push for long distance by approximately 1 minute.
It's actually nice amount of traffic. Not too busy, not too quiet. +1 for track IR. Yeah, I've considered it, but I don't think for a viewer, you know, me moving my head constantly, because I have to move my head right to see chat. It wouldn't be the best for that. Oh yes, it will look better with that velocity. Micro rush.
Echo Tango holding by runway 27.
Straight ahead, Echo Tango to point runway 27, Alpaca 320.
Alpaca 320, please set squawk 4013.
4013, Alpaca 320.
So it looks like they've already got a runway there. An Echo.
Diverting 9 Kilo Lima, wind calm, runway 27, clear for takeoff. After departure, contact Kraków approach 121.07.
After departure, approach 121.07527 lift takeoff.
And I've got that frequency on standby.
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec behind departing traffic, Boeing 7300, Baltic Company, line up runway 27 and wait behind.
Behind the departing Air Baltic 737, via Sierra line up wait behind runway 27, behind Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec.
Alpaca 181 ready for taxi runway 27.
So he's rolling, and we've already been cleared to line up behind him.
Via Echo and Tango. Holding point runway 27 via Echo and Tango, Alpaca 181.
So Jim, confirm readback. Yes, Captain, you are cleared behind the Air Baltic departing to line up and wait. So here we go. We are clear right. Clear left.
Good evening, Katowice Tower. Actually,
checked below line, so MCP is set. Transponder TARA. Strobe lights are on. We're just waiting for our takeoff clearance.
You will repair the power flight plan. Alpaca 5, my papa. 5, my papa. After off-board, you are flying to the west, so your flight level should be even. I suggest 360 or 380. 380, Alpaca 5, my papa. 5, my papa, roger. In that case, cleared Palanga, Navur to Mike, departure out of runway 27.
Could be interesting, this flight, this Palanga flight. Ooh. What's the latest in Palanga? I've not looked. I mean, I've just been watching the Metop for the stream with the weather just getting worse and worse and worse. I did contemplate streaming a little bit earlier, but that would have helped out for sure. Not the best line up there, a bit off the centre line, but we can fix it.
137 taxi holding point runway 27 via Echo, Foxtrot and Sierra.
1.27 via Echo, Fox and Sierra, Alpaca 137.
Charlie behind.
There's traffic departing on the TCAS.
Right.
So yeah, we're live with the guys. We are streaming 12 hours behind live time, just so, well, I'd say enjoy the scenery. It's going to be cloudy and foggy all day. Next time we're going to see the ground is going to be just below cloud in either Palanga or Vilnius.
Stations current QNH Katowice 1021. Break, Alpaca 1 Quebec, wind calm, runway 25, correction to 7. Clear for takeoff, after departure, contact Krakow approach 121.075, have a nice flight, bye.
Runway 27 cleared takeoff after departure, Krakow approach 121.075, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, cheerio. Perfect, all good to go guys, timing, and totally chat, let's go do it, let's go to Palanga.
Runway 27 Palanga.
So engine stabilised, push toga, set takeoff thrust.
Katowice Tower, good evening, Alpaca 26 Alpha.
Small up times have been fixed now, that's much better. So takeoff thrust set, indications normal.
Good evening, Katowice Tower. After off-board you are flying to the west, your flight level should be even suggest level 380 or 360.
80 knots.
Checked, reasonable pressure.
380 will be good to Alpaca 26 Alpha.
Alpaca 26 Alpha, in that case, clear to Palanga on our 2 Mike, departure runway 27, squawk 4015.
D1, up we go, 2 to 2.5 degrees per second. Now we're airborne through that dead band as well. Gears coming up, and trim.
Alpaca 26 Alpha, call frequent correct.
And we're now on the flight directors. Lovely.
400.
LNAV. Oh, why is that not going back into the cockpit? There we are. Right, 1,000 feet. Bug up.
The 69ers, Charlie, you can taxi straight ahead via
125, 425, 99, and double.
There's V2 plus
Go
15,
5
select
kilo
flex right.
alpha, stop climb fly level 240.
Can you repeat flight level 4 and 5 Alpha?
We go 5 kilo alpha,
And we'll select flaps up.
Stop climb 240 with 5 Alpha.
Okay, to autopilots, command A. Climbing to 6,000 feet. And we're on top of the cloud already. Lovely. That's classic low visibility days. You just have this low cloud base stuck close to the ground. And that's what it's going to look like for the rest of the sector here. Medical speeds, 2,000 feet per minute.
Control on 125 with decimal 450.
Krakow approach, very good evening. Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec on the Nava 2 Mike, passing 4,600 for altitude 6,000 feet.
Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, Krakow approach, very good evening, continue climb fly level 250 and high speed approved.
Climb flight level 250, free speed, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec. So 250 checked, we'll select VNAV and set standard. We're passing 50 flight level 250 after takeoff checklist. So I believe the airspace category around here is category, it's Cat C, which means below 10,000 feet you can climb, you're not restricted by 250 knots, which is great because the sooner we get to our econ climb speed, the more efficient it is for us. So we can go straight to 291 knots now because that's the most efficient speed based off our cost index and the winds we put into the FMS. So yeah, if agency gives you high speed improved,
Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, direct nav.
Direct to Navia, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec. That's executed. There we are, LNAV's engaged. So after takeoff checklist, gears off, water brakes off, engine anti-ice can come off, and the start switches as well. Air conditioning and pressurisation, we always check this big needle every 10,000 feet, that's the differential pressure. That's increasing, just passing 2.2, the cabin altitude is climbing. Pressure mode selected is auto, and configuration of the switch is correct. And air conditioning and pressurisation is set. Verify altimeters are standard set, passing 73, flight level 250. That's it after takeoff checklist complete. So our ETA should be 9:55, so it's going to be 21:55, an hour and 3 minutes from now. We should be touching down, aka going around in Palanga. Oh, it's going to be exciting. I tell you what, I'd far rather do this flight in the sim this evening than fly there in real life, that's for sure. So yeah, we've got a little bit of fuel in that centre tank. Looks 290 kilos, so put the 4 pumps on. Sorry, the centre tank pumps on, so 6 pumps on. And that's now feeding for the centre tank. Lights we can turn off. APU's off. Pressurisation 4.9 set. We leave passenger signs on these days. Recalls checked. Launching 1-to-1.5. Why do I not just use my radio tuning panel? There we are. That is now active. And pressurisation again checking. Diffs 5.0. Recall. A bit out of sequence, but check's done. Alejandro, you want me to hear say shit shin again? There you go, shit shin. Ah yes, I completely forgot to the members of the channel. I do have a new custom emoji for those situations where I get myself a little bit geographically lost. There we go, I'll even put it in chat now. Or perhaps if I mispronounce something, feel free to use that at your leisure, as voted on you guys in Discord. I wonder how many times we'll need to use that today.
Alpha 1 Lima Quebec, continue climb flight level 270 in contact Warszawa 12545 and safe flight, bye bye.
125.45, climb flight level 270, Alpha 1 Lima, Quebec, thanks to ATC, bye. 270 is checked.
For you, Warszawa 12545 and safe flight,
125.45, that's active.
Alpaca 14 Mike Juliet, contact Warszawa, frequency is 132.70, bye.
Warszawa radar, very good evening, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, climbing flight level 270, direct Gruda. 2 at once.
Okay, 3 stations at once, aeronautic 9 Kilo Lima, go ahead.
So that happens sometimes, everyone just checks it at the same time, that's normal as per real life, can happen.
Okay, aeronautic 9 Kilo Lima, you are identified, continue climb level 350.
Samuel says, hello Captain, recently asked what shortcut you used to pop up every tab. I tried Shift A and Control A, however they didn't work. Any ideas? I use Control A, I assigned it to the explain settings. I won't go in there because it'll pause the sim.
50,
Yeah, that's what
40,
I use.
30, 20, 10.
Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, Warszawa.
Sorry, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, climb flight level 270,
Good
direct to
afternoon,
Gruda.
Captain. Good luck.
Okay, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec, you are identified, continue climb level 370.
Climb flight level 370, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec. My apologies, Dominic, I'll repeat that in 2 seconds. It was just the worst timing ever, because I was just checking with ATC. There's no need for you to apologise whatsoever. That was just the timing there. So I will repeat it there. I completely forgot to check in, I remember, because it was 3 stations, and then he stopped, and then I got distracted. Dominic Orsini, thank you very much for the $5. I'll do it again.
Radar, good evening, like to get 8829,
There we go.
350.
Thanks a lot, Dominic, for $5.
Hello there, radar contact, continue and confirm PDLC.
Good afternoon, Captain.
Afternoon.
Good luck on the landing today.
Thank you.
I hope Jack and Mariana are not on board.
No confidence there, Dominic, in my abilities, I see.
Negative. For me, it's Echo Papa Whiskey November.
Thank you very much for your donation, Dominic. Very kind. We should be all good. Mariner is just in the lounge watching TV with Jack. Jack's very tired. One of the other reasons I wanted to stream a bit later, I looked at the weather forecast, and in the UK, it was lovely today. Really nice afternoon, and we've got some pretty
50,
pants
40,
weather coming up in the next
30,
few days.
20,
So I wanted
10.
to enjoy the sunshine. So that's great. DGS 4000, thank you.
First time catching a stream. Salutations to you, Captain, and thanks for all the real life info.
Always one.
Appreciate it. Kindest regards from me, DDK.
Cologne DGS 4000, I think that's Cologne. Thank you very much for the £21.42 or €25 donation. I think that is very kind. Thank you so much for popping into my first, your first ever live stream. I hope you're enjoying it, and always appreciate the feedback in the comments section. And yeah, what a great stream for you to watch. It could be very interesting trying to get into Palanga in Lithuania today with the weather as it is right now. In fact, who here would like to grab the? Someone would like to grab the METAR in chat. Let's have a look at it together, analyse it, and see what we could possibly think if we possibly get in here. Because the other thing about simulators as well, obviously Active Sky or whatever weather engine you use will give you the exact weather. that's on the meta. Now, usually in real life, if the RVR's okay, if the RVR's within limits, there's no approach round, so you can fly the approach. And if it's overcast at 200, usually you get to minimums, overcast at 200, you can see the runway. Now, in the sim, it's exactly at 200 feet. In reality, it might be 220, it might be 180, and at night as well, the lights are very bright, so it can be a little bit easier to see, and I'm flying here at day. So yeah, we'll definitely shoot an approach and see how we get on. Right, here we go. So, 1,200 metres, okay, that's not bad. The RVR required in Palanga is the standard RVR required of 550 metres, so there's nothing stopping us from flying an approach. The trend is up, and it's broken at 200 feet, so the cloud base is right at the minimums there. So it could be quite tight. We'll have to see what happens. We've got plenty of fuel. I've taken the exact amount of fuel I would in this situation, extra hours worth of fuel, an alternate nice far away, and we also have a backup alternate of Riga, you know, which is definitely clear, because Vilnius, although we've met the planning legal requirements, one category approach below, Riga is all clear as a backup. But obviously, in these situations, you can also liaise with the company. Just say, you can actually call them up and say, look, you know, it's really not confident we're going here. Where would you like us to go? You know, and they'll never tell you. They'll be like, that's your decision, Captain. But they'll always try and look at the commercial impact of where we're diverting to. So obviously, we have my operators and all airlines will have what they call commercial alternates. These are alternates at airports where the airline would like us to go, because for whatever reason they can organise onwards travel arrangements. So it could be buses, it could be I've diverted once many years ago when I was based in Spain. We landed in the UK, and then we had to divert because the weather was below minimum, so we just landed. We just waited for 45 minutes because it was early in the morning, the weather improved, it was low cloud base, and it lifted, and then we continued on with the flight. So there's so many different variables, so many different options, and so many different ways of approaching it. But you just got to make sure everything's legal as per the ops manual and the SOPs. James McGee said, big thumbs up for the 8 PM streams for the parents of little first officers, Captain. Very cool, James. Thank you very much. Great stream. Appreciate it. Yeah, I generally stream late afternoon, as you well know, 4 or 5 o'clock starts. This is quite a nice time because it brings in, obviously, a lot of people in Europe, you know, they've had their dinner, they're just sitting up in bed or in the lounge. Nice opportunity for you to watch. Catches guys in America, especially on the East Coast, because they finish work, they can pop in the afternoon. You know, I always feel a little bit for my friends in Australia and New Zealand where it's never a great time. Very occasionally I'll stream in the morning. I've probably done 3 or 4 streams starting at 8 in the morning to wrap it around a bit there. I do like to shake it up where I can. Danny Rubol earlier said, do you need to learn in-depth systems? For example, the different engine stages, the high-low compressor, high-low turbine, or is that more for engineers? To what extent a pilot needs to know those systems? Great question, Danny. We need to have good technical knowledge of the aircraft. So, you know, if I flick a switch, you've got to kind of know what that switch is doing. The FCOM, over the period of many years, this is talking to pilots who have flown much longer than I have, has been essentially dumbed down. We're not very clever, us guys. So they only give us the information that we need. So I always think my technology is pretty rusty, and especially because if you haven't looked at it for a while, there's so much to remember. You have to keep going over certain topics, and that's what the whole idea of the 6-month sim check is. Over the period of 3 years, they will have covered all the technical systems and non-normal or problems, non-normal situations with those systems as well. But in depth, yeah, and knowledge of the engines. Yeah, we all know how it works with compressors, turbines. Compresses the air. Light fuel in the combustion chamber, it shoots it out through the turbine, which spins the N1 fan. Essentially, that's what it is. But if I couldn't go into much more detail than that. But a jet engine is essentially a very simple system to producing thrust. But you saw someone, who was it? Pastor Escobar asking me a complex question earlier about the difference between airplane nose-up angle and pitch angle. Really, I could not go into much more detail about what I answered for him. Sylvanus said, "Hi Captain, you missed an ATC car. Be sent to descend to flight level 320. I have a full head of hair, sir."
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Thanks a lot, Calamar, for flight band donation.
Buy yourself a coffee while in the hole, or a beer. No breath testing explain.
Calamar, thank you for your donation. Very, very kind. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe we'll have a quick word with the board of the bank. But absolutely not who condone such activities. Coffee, be a coffee, Callum. Thanks for the donation.
Left 280.
Andrew said, total noob here, no problem at all. We're all learning, even myself. Can an aircraft be set up to auto-land from the ground? Say if both pilots are out. Not the ground, but in flight. If both pilots are incapacitated. You know, someone who's trained, cabin crew are, could set up for an auto-land approach with guidance from ATC. Ross, during the fire test, how do you get your test switch to latch left or right when you cancel the bell? I don't cancel it, so I'll show you. I didn't actually do that. Not meant to do the fire test in flight, it will work, but I'm holding the left button down on my mouse whilst I look around, so all I'm doing is letting go. But that's the great thing about X-Plane, you can hold switches in and then press the right mouse to pan, and you see, look at the arrow. Because I've still got the left mouse button down. That is something you definitely don't want to hear in flight.
Okay, we go for the
Parking brake, the parking brake set.
30, 20, 10.
Thank you very much, Mark, for the £5.
Are you excited to fly the 737 MAX when they arrive in your airline? Or would you prefer the NG?
Thank you very much, Mark Jackson, for the £5 donation. Now, I won't go into too much detail about my operators' fleets and plans. There might be a potentially, I might be potentially flying the MAX, potentially. Like the sentence to say it backwards. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to it if I ever get that opportunity. Very confident that the regulators have thoroughly inspected the aircraft, and the training now provided to pilots is a lot more in depth. For example, not just requiring a PowerPoint presentation, it's kind of data course and a simulator session. So yeah, I am looking forward to the day I eventually
okay, Alpha 320 for separation, stop climb level 330.
Very good.
Stop climb level 330.
Plenty of max operators.
Hello,
We're talking Asia, Dynasty 001, Japan.
230 climbing to 270 inbound crew.
Alpha 181 Warsaw identified, continue climb level 370.
Yeah, that's why. I was wondering what's going wrong with the mod, but yeah, we're not on cruise level yet, so that's correct. I'll hold.
Alpha 181 and flight level 370.
Sorry about ATC, it's a bit loud.
Off your close flight level, because you're flying inbound, so your flight level needs to be up.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Listerman. Oh, Helena said, what's the weirdest question you've ever gotten on one of these streams? Oh, I've had some weird ones. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Alpha 137 Warsaw identified, continue climb level 370.
So I'm going to look outside here. Still over Poland at the moment.
Airbaltic 900 kilo demand, our navigation, crossing direct.
Looking good. Hendrik, these streams provide the ultimate midweek relaxation.
50,
Thank you
40,
very much.
30, 20, 10.
Thank you very much, Liam Adamson, for the £5 donation.
Hello, Captain. This is long overdue.
Oh.
Love the videos even if they're a slight distraction from uni work.
Thank you very much, Liam, for the £5 donation. Not overdue at all. I never expect anyone to donate, so I appreciate it. Nonetheless, that's very kind. And get back to work, Liam. No, not at all. You always need a little break. So good luck with the rest of your course when you get started. Glad you enjoyed the stream, buddy. Thank you very much. Dynasty, old Nippon gel. No, I can't talk about that. Ooh, stake the cab, absolutely. Akeem, face reveal of 1 million subscribers. Why is everyone so fascinated by my face? It's just it's a picture of an alpaca. That's what it'll look like. Anyway, get rid of those charts for now. And there we are, right in the middle of Poland. We're going to carry on going north, probably right over the top of Gdansk, over the Baltic Sea, and then this is not Palanga. This is another coastal city. There it is. There is Palanga. That's our destination. Now I don't know anything about Palanga. If it's a popular destination, never been there. But I saw out of the airports between the two, this is probably the one that receives the most traffic, so that's why I went for it. I had a Cat 1 ILS, and obviously Vilnius right on the other end of the country. But we're going to carry on north right over the middle of Poland towards Gdansk.
EPKT 320 Warszawa.
Alright, hopefully we'll get higher flight level. I think we initially were 37.
And for cruise level, flight level 370 is okay?
Yeah, it was actually 38. I mean, we're right on the cut-off between even odd flight level, so we'll just stay with 37. I think what I'll do is update it
flight
here.
level 360
So 370.
is out of question, so you can fly maintain level 370 or 350.
370. There we are, we can now reselect Vina path. There we go.
320, copy, climb maintain level 370.
And then he says, so cool, I learned so much from you. Thanks for the answer. I study engineering physics at the moment, but it's way too general. I'm almost certainly I want to do something aviation related. I'm very excited, very cool. And if you're studying engineering physics, you're a far brighter man than I am. That's for sure.
69 Charlie, Warszawa, kłaniam się, identified, clear to Oscar for uniform arrival, runway 33, expect ILS Yankee approach.
Oh wait, we're getting geography lessons again. Right, yeah, great use of the custom emoji. Freckles says, oh god, he will get it out. CG asked earlier, hey, hope you don't mind me asking, I'm an aspiring
50,
pilot and my biggest worry is
40,
funding my training. If
30,
you don't mind me asking, how do you
20,
get fund your training? No
10.
problem at all, I'll ask you that in a second. Outside the CG, I'm just going to say thanks to Bert Fella for the £5. Thanks, buddy.
Great stream, loving all the info. Thanks for your dedication to making all our sim lives better.
No problem, Bert Fella. Thank you so much for the £5 donation. Very kind. And thank you for your continued support of the channel. And yeah, this one will be a great stream with regards to if we divert. I think most of you are going to want to see me divert today. We have done a diversion before, but not one that was planned. That was just due to the sheer amount of traffic. This is sort of like a... we can see it coming with the visibility and the weather. So yeah, thank you very much, Bert Fella, for the £5 donation. Very kind. Now, CG, yeah, no problem asking that sort of question. Thank you very much for kind of asking if I was happy to answer that. So yeah, my flight training, I think some people were saying about selling chickens. So I'm, you know, from a normal background, we didn't have any sort of, my family didn't have anything like that sort of money to pay for my flight training. So I finished school at 18. I was already working at the supermarket part-time. I then went briefly full-time selling chickens at Morrison's just to save up as much money as I possibly could. And I never saved enough, obviously, to pay for my entire flight training, but it was enough to cover the living expenses for that period of time. I studied at Oxford Aviation Academy, and they had a relationship with several major banks where you could get a loan for your flight training, and you'd only need to start paying it a year after you've finished. And on top of that, if you got a job, they'd extend the loan to pay if you needed a tight rating at certain airlines. I didn't have to vouch that one. So yeah, I had to take a £70,000 loan off, started my flight training, finished in 2011, and then...
1 Lima Quebec, contact Warszawa, frequency is 132.705, ciao.
132.705, Africa 1 Lima Quebec, thanks CATC, bye.
10.
Thanks a lot, Boy Borman, for the £5. I will get back to you, CG, finish the story. Thanks, buddy.
Enjoying the stream again.
Thank
I
you.
myself am now starting my descent into EIDW.
Oh, Dublin.
Busy arrival with 13 knot crosswind.
Not too bad, Boy Borman, but you'll definitely need a crosswind landing technique. Don't forget opposite rudder and then aileron into wind for that crosswind. You'll be grand. Thank you very much, Boy Borman, and good luck with your crosswind landing. Yes, so CG, yeah, 70 grand loan, finished my flight training school. I was very fortunate to get a job within 6 months of finishing my flight training. Did my type rating, started my flight training, but I only started paying my loan about 6 months after I joined. And yes, for 4 or 5 years I had very little disposable income because all my earnings from my work was a big percentage of that was paid back for paying back my loan. But over a period of time, paid it all off. And then, yeah, obviously now I can look back at it and be happy with my position, you know. But that's how I did it. Times are a little more difficult now, not obviously taking coronavirus into account. I think the cost of flight training has gone up considerably now. I think know, the loan and my savings, I think the full flight training cost back then was about 85,000. I think it's over 100 now. I really think it is, but yeah, I know it's not accessible to everyone, and it's going to be a while until those sort of schemes from airlines are starting up again. But yeah, anyone in flight training at the moment, I do really wish you best of luck. Keep at it, and no doubt when things start to cool down coronavirus wise, the jobs will come back in hopefully not too distant future. Cool. Plainly there are other chicken retailers available, absolutely. I look back at that job and it taught me a lot of vital life skills, and I made some good friends I still speak to now. So yeah, if you're at school 15, 16, go get yourself a job as soon as you can. No problem, CG. Simony Bob, can you learn to fly without doing it commercially? Is it financially viable? So, I mean, are you talking about other jobs which are not commercial airline jobs? You can get a job as an instructor. Lots of people do that. There's all sorts of different options available. Gintaris, thank you. I can't believe you're here, Gintaris. One of our members who's from Lithuania, and he said he wasn't feeling too well this evening, so I hope you're feeling better, buddy. And thanks for popping in. Don't feel like you need to watch though if you're not feeling too well, bud. And he said it depends from the airline itself, the cost. I saw you can get the training a bit cheaper than 100 grand by some airlines. That's pretty good. Timothy Kelly, when do we land? The only question you've been asking. Approximately at this time, 21:47. About half an hour, probably 40 minutes to the amount of traffic, and we're going to fly in. Oh yeah, best check in with ATC. Oh gosh, I've been too much chatting here.
Switching to Unicorn 122, this one Alpha.
This guy's very quiet as well, the controller. Let me just turn.
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec,
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, sorry, I can barely hear you though. Maintain flight level 370, inbound to Gruda.
Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, radio check for now.
That's a little better, thanks. Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec.
That's an old headset and it's not gonna get any better, sorry for that. Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, your radar contact flight level 370, proceed direct India Papa Lima, India Tango.
Direct to Iplit, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, thank you sir. Perfect. It's got a slightly older headset, but he was quite quiet. I've really cranked up the volume there on VAT traffic. So Iplit and engage on nav. Perfect. We should start setting up for this approach, guys. Captain Paul D, I'm leading the charge up front, so I'll let you know if the weather's okay. Okay. Daniel said, trying to make ortho for EU, but lots of discoloration. What source are you using, mate? I use Bing Maps, and this was with the assistance years ago, and obviously you can see, look, I still have a few dodgy bits here and there, but generally, this is zoom level 17, happy with the quality, with everything. I've got about 8 terabytes of ortho installed now. Cool, right, let's start setting up for this approach. Alright, let's have a little look at the METAR as well. We'll get it up here on screen. So, it is Echo Yankee Papa Alpha. Whilst that's going on, we'll get the charts. Palanga, sorry, I was just fiddling with the volume there, guys. So expecting a Valub 2 Bravo. Valub 2 Bravo. And it'll be the ILS approach runway 19. Definitely won't get on off
Alpaca
01.
320 Warszawa.
Oh, he's much clearer now.
50, 40,
Amber Life, thank you very much
20,
for the $5. Very kind, hope you're doing well.
Great people and great stream.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing your story there.
Anytime.
Heart cheers from Southern California.
You're most welcome, Amber Life. Thank you very much for your $5 donation. Yes, you know, I always like to share little stories here. I'm happy to go into kind of a bit of detail about my my job, my work, it's what this channel's all about. And obviously I can't discuss my operator, and I've said it many times before, my operator's well aware of what I do, they give me full permission, they did when I started the channel 4 years ago. And yeah, I'm in it's a nice position, and thank you very much for respecting my privacy regards to that matter. Even though I do get a few idiots sometimes. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Have a life. Sweet. So we've got the arrival coming in via Valov, and we're expecting a Napa's transition. That's looking good here. Then ILS runway 19er, and then. It's not a very large airport here. If we can vacate at Alpha, that's going to make a huge help ATC quite a bit. And that's going to be around 1,400 meters, so it's going to be quite heavy on the brakes. I'm going to do it today because it'll be fun to try and vacate Alpha, because you have to backtrack. There's no taxiway here. It's literally Alpha onto the apron, and they're all self-positioning stands. So you literally taxi straight on, and then you have to do a 180 on stand. So there are all the charts we need. We'll now start putting the information into the FMC. Big difference with the controller and other traffic. I can barely hear ATC, but then other people are shouting. So, Avatar charts. Let's have a look here then at the weather. So, 2305, RVR 1200 meters. We need 550 meters to fly the approach. We can fly the approach regardless of the RVR, but there's an approach ban enforced if the RVR is below what's required for the approach, which means you can fly it, but you have to go around by 1,000 feet. You can't go down to minimums. If you get below 1,000 feet...
Question?
Go ahead.
Would you mind reporting Mach number current?
Current Mach number is .77, Alpaca 1 Lima, Quebec. What would you like?
It's fine. Thank you. Break, Alpaca 320.
Perfect. So yeah, it's runway 19er, RVR 2,000 meters, increasing broke 200, 3-3, dew point temperature the same, you know, it's classic low visibility, air saturated, QNH 1019er. So 1019er is set. Perfect. What was I looking at here? Yeah, so this runway 19er, RVR's 2,000 meters. Let me try and get this right. No change, I believe. And then the up is improvements. Was something else? I've never seen that before. Up. Light unidentified precipitation, apparently. Really? Okay. But yeah, the key thing is this one. That's what's controlling. There's actually a way of converting, if you don't have RVRs, into a visibility using a simple equation, but forget the RVR, that's correct. Right. Forecast, let's get these descent winds in. 310, 200, 100, 258.
Good evening. Condor 09 Kilo with you. Flight level 380 inbound gate off.
200, 267, 31.
Condor 09 Kilo, Warsaw Leader, schönen Abend. Identified flight level 380.
And flight level 100, 287, 23. Oh, I've just looked at chat. Look at that meta. That one's a little bit different than what I've just found. It's broken at 100. Uh-oh. Toga, it is visibility times 1.5 if you have high intensity approach and runway lights for daytime, Captain. Well done, Toga. Yeah, that's right. And at night, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's all referenced in the ops manual. I have it saved. This is what we all make at the planning stage, especially if you know, if you see on the NOTAM that their RVR is out of service, or the ability to read RVRs, you can then calculate what the RVR is using those equations. So QNH,
Mach number 77.
019. Yeah, the minus up unknown precipitation. No precipitation. I thought it was something to do with visibility the way it's pronounced. I've never seen that before.
Maintain this airspeed or below, or actually maintain this airspeed. Even after the EPKT, the Kaliningrad is offline, so you will separate at your own discretion, but you have traffic ahead at the same level.
Roger, I'll maintain Mach 77 on Packet 320, thanks for the heads up.
Sorry, QNH to punch in. 1019 are done. Fix rings for runway 19er IMC, so we're going to configure gear down flat 15 at 5 miles. So /10
Warschau Radar Lufthansa 5 Tango Hotel
/5 and we're 37,000 feet.
Request clearance to Leipzig.
It's just everyone talking over each other there. 37 times 3 is all the 11, all the ones, 111. So it's around where top of descent should start. Just before that, so that's looking good.
Lufthansa 5 Tango Hotel, please confirm tower is not responding to you because the tower is still online. 118.3.
Nightmare.
The tower is not.
This could be funny. Oh, he's gone silent.
The tower is not responding. Lufthansa 5 Tango
Valav 180 below.
Alright,
let's have a look at that restriction.
I will try to coordinate.
So that's fine, we'll be at 153 already. Papa Alpha 606 next, max 250, max 250. Papa Alpha 405, max 220, max 220. Papa Alpha 401, out above 5,000 feet.
So
always like to check this. So yeah, that's leaving us slightly high, 4896, which is why we keep getting these steep descents, but it shouldn't be the case if it's only a couple hundred of feet. It's usually when it's quite a significant difference between where VNAV would like to have you and where the restriction is, but these are leaving us slightly high. So after 401 it's direct to Napas, max 210 out above 3,000. So it's all coded correctly, and then when we get to Napas it's the transition, if we don't get vectors, via Papa Alpha 405, sorry, Papa Alpha 453 at above 1,700 feet. That checks in the FMS. Papa Alpha 452, which is on the extended centre line, and I'm just going to put 1,300 feet or above here. So it actually puts you onto a very short final here. Look, it's only a 7.5 DME arc, and then it literally you undershoot Papa Alpha 452. It's a fly-by waypoint, and then you're only getting established on final. Look, at around, what's the ident here, Ian. You're turning on to kind of a 6 mile final, so it keeps you really tight here. But yeah, that's all coded correctly. LNAV should put us right onto the glide slope for us. There's the platform, Foxtrot, 19er intercepting at 5.3 DME, 3 degree ILS checks. And let's now start setting up everything here on the top of the briefing strip. So we're happy it's coded correctly. So, frequency is 110.1 for the ILS. 110.1, and final approach course is 188. Uh-oh, so young one in the flight deck. 188.
122.99 Tango Bravo. Have a nice evening, sir. Good day.
188, 188. We've already checked the platform altitude, 1,300 feet. Check the minimums. We'll be definitely going all the way down to this height today. Yeah, it's even slightly above the standard. Look, 238 AGL, so 270. We're going to do everything legally today. If we can't get in, we'll divert. And it's only going to get worse when the weather's like this and the visibility's been dropping off in the evening. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. If it was early in the morning, 8, 9, and obviously the cloud base and visibility is increasing, you'll have to go around on the first approach, or possibly hold and just wait it out for the visibility to get better. So seeing that the visibility is getting progressively worse since about 4 o'clock this afternoon, I'm pretty confident that it's not going to get better. But with the visibility as it is here, there's no approach band. We have 1,200 meters, and it's broken at 200. So if it was like that right now, I'd shoot an approach. I'd like to have a go. But if the RVR dropped below the approach band, you might even go, you know what, I've actually diverted once. Well, I say I was an FO at the time. The captain and I decided to divert before we got to top of descent, because we were approaching there. We always got a message from ATC saying, look, the destination, no one has gotten in the last 2 hours. The RVR at the moment is less than 100 meters. It's thick fog. There's only a Cat 1 approach available. So we didn't even fly an approach. We just went straight to our alternate, because there's no point if you see that you're not going to go get in. But yeah, today there is a good chance that we might possibly see the runway. I don't think we will, because of the way the desktop sims work with the weather, but we'll see. We got all everything tuned anyway. There's a VOR just to the south of the airfield, 14.8. Put that on standby. There it is, 14.8. And we also got the NDB 407, which is what the missed approach is based on. That's active. You can see I've been having a play earlier in the mod. So, 407. Just select it here. And select it here. So, if we don't get vectors, we'll fly the transition via Napas onto the extended centre line. Glide slope capture down to the minimums. RVR, where there's no NOTAMs or anything affecting the lights here today, so we've got full approach lights. RVR's 550 meters. Use 750 when a flight director or autopilot or HUD to D8 is not used. So we'll be using the flight director to minimum, so we can use an RVR 550. We have high intensity approach lights, PAPIs as well, and if we have to go around, which is very likely, but we always brief the missed approach regardless. Push toga at minimums, call go around flat 15, we'll then set go around thrust, the autothrottle will be engaged, and it should give us GA, reduced go around thrust. With a positive rate of climb, we'll raise the landing gear. At 400 feet we can engage LNAV, and it is coded, look, runway 19, 1900 feet, and you can see here, straight ahead, 1900 feet. And then a right turn to the NDB climbing to 3000. So it's straight ahead, 180. Inbound to the NDB to hold at Palanga. We'll climb at 3,000 feet in that case. And that's the missed approach, okay? Now, I flew this earlier just to make sure everything was working. This conditional waypoint, the aircraft doesn't turn at 1900. It just climbs to a waypoint laterally, which is here. There's a blue dashed line, which is correct. So there's the blue dashed line. It just waits to this exact lateral position. In fact, the real aircraft will wait till 1900 feet, which might be beforehand to turn. Now, I am going to follow that and ignore the 1900 feet turn because I was fiddling it with it earlier. There is a little bug in the mod at the moment where if you try and route direct to the last waypoint, it doesn't accept that. So if I was to bring that to the top and put it in page 1, it just doesn't work. I don't know why. It's a little bit of a bug. And then I have issues trying to program the alternate routing on the FMC, so I'm going to just leave it as it is and put LNAV and enter the hold in manually to make it work. Otherwise, it's a bit of a mess. It's a little big bug in the mod. I let ZIBO know today. He's going to look into it, and I need a bit more information from how it works in the real aircraft because it's very unusual that you fly the missed approach to a hold like that. You'd usually get vectors or for another approach or something like that, but we'll see how it works in the FMS. Cool, so if we are able to land, fingers crossed, the runway...
For your information, traffic behind 18 track miles, same level, indicating ground speed 420.
As copied, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, Unicom 122.8, thanks for the traffic information, and thanks to the ATC, have a great evening. Perfect. So over to Unicom, there's traffic behind going quicker than us. Okay, great. So we'll, I don't know who that is behind, he's going to be right on top of us. We'll see what the situation is on VATSIM. I think it's just Kaliningrad which doesn't have any ATC. Let's go over to Unicom, there we are. Yeah, right, we'll have a look at the situation in Palanga because there's no ATC and there's traffic everywhere. It's just going to be carnage. I don't want people on Unicom trying to procedurally fly into an airport which is only designed to have one aircraft on the approach at a time, and we've got aircraft left, right and centre. We'll see, we'll see. Lithuania is also offline on VATSIM, I saw, but it is late, so yeah, landing performance, there's top of descent coming in. Let's just dial in 200. Aircraft will now descend for us. We have 2,280 full length beyond the threshold, glide 1,800 metres. We'll try and vacate at Alpha. It's going to be order brake max, and I'll try flat 40 as well. So we're going to burn 400 kilos. This has just been a fun. 60.9. Flat 40, order brake max, and we'll use second detent reverse, see if we can vacate. Yeah, going to be exciting, I don't know if we're going to make it, but anyway, there's top of descent. There's no ATC, so we'll go down to 200. See what happens. Todd, will we have? We'll be on VATSIM on the onward leg. Yeah. So guys, I'll refresh you if you just joined the stream as well. Well, firstly, welcome. We're just on our first sector from Katowice to Palanga in Lithuania. We've been looking at the weather in Palanga. It is not very good. It is currently just about good enough to fly and approach, but the cloud base is below what's required. The minimums on this approach is 270 feet, so the cloud base is always referenced off above ground level, so we're 238 feet at minimums, but I think it's 100 now. The RVR, which is what's controlling, is 1200 meters. We need 550 to fly and approach, so we're able to fly and approach. Will we be visual at minimums? I doubt it. So if we do get in, the plan is to continue with as we do with every stream. We'll land, vacate, do a transit turnaround, and then we'll continue towards Vilnius. And I'm also going to switch the sim to live time as well. If we have to divert, that'll be the stream, so we'll do the missed approach. We'll enter the hold. I probably won't fly a second approach because the visibility is only getting worse. And after we've entered the hold, we'll have a brief discussion of what we're going to do. In reality, I'm probably more like to AC. Yeah, just give us a turn straight away towards Vilnius. And we'll divert, and we'll have to climb. We'll have a look at the alternate routing and the flight plan here, which we would have already reviewed. There it is. So here's our alternate. So it gives you, as the crow flies from your destination to your alternate. So it's a track of 117, distance 179 miles. The routing. So it gives you a SID, even though you're not going to fly it, but that's what the flight plan's based off. It's actually from the alternate, from your destination to your alternate, so Manix 1 Bravo to Manix, Airways to Nedam, then the arrival, all the way up to flight level 270, the grid, the Mora for your track, the weather, the time, and estimated fuel. To divert, remember the sum of these two, 1514 and 991, you 30, add those together, and that's 20, what gives you
10.
That reserves figure, 2505. If you get a calculator out, you'll see it adds up. Thank you very much, Mark Jackson, for the £2 donation. He says, get that butter, I'm counting on you. Well, we'll hopefully be on the ground somewhere today. And when we do eventually get on the ground, I'll do my best to appease your requirements for butter, Mark Jackson. Thank you very much for the £2 donation. Very kind. Gil M. Hi, Captain. In the real flight, do you always set the route to, or just when necessary? Example, alternative routing or a second flight plan in case of changing runways or emergency situations, return to the airport. Now, my operator, we only use route 2 to program the next flight plan for the return sector. There is a way you can obviously load in your alternate routing. I know the Airbus always does that, but we just don't do it. I'll show you how to do it. It's very easy in the FMS. You just simply go to the route page where it says destination. You put the 4-letter ICAO code, and then you just go to the route page, put the routing in, and then execute. It's not too much extra work, but at my operator, every operator is different. We use it to load up the routing for the second sector, the return sector. Too much butter is unhealthy for the liver, says Listerman. Very good. Calamar, you just made it in. Approach lights literally at minimums, he said. Very interesting. Well, that's building a bit of confidence. You didn't have it cav-okay, did you? John said stick Jim out of the runway, out the window, so if he can see if he can see the runway. Brilliant. Lucas excited for the diversion. Yeah, I will see. We'll see. Brandon says, when would you arm LNAV and VNAV on the ground versus in the air? Well, you can't really arm the systems in flight. They're either active or not. On the ground, you can arm both LNAV and VNAV. LNAV becomes active at 50 feet RA on departure, and we don't use VNAV for departure from our operator, but I believe it engages at 400 feet AGL on departure. But we don't use VNAV here. We just use LNAV and engage the autopilot. We can fly if we wish, but if we engage the autopilot at 1,000 feet, level change engages, and then we just manually bug the speed up. Flight retro is a way of getting the routing for the alternate before choosing to divert. Yes, you can use route 2, but that function is not working in the mod. We don't have it programmed or working yet, but you can use route 2. I could actually demonstrate. I could have demonstrated if it was working how to put that alternate routing in, but we'll see there. So it looks like we're all good to make our next restriction, which is at Valav, 180 below. So I will put in 180 here. Fly home, what is the name of the other overlay? This is the Fly Live overlay. Fly Live. Neil says, what was your cruise altitude? We were cruising at flight level 370 today. Lucy Sharman says, I don't think I've ever seen anyone fly the 757-200 on sim. You must be new, Lucy. We've done loads of streams in the Flight Factor 757. If you type in YouTube search, Flight Factor 757, Flight Deck to Sim, and you'll hopefully see some of our adventures in that aircraft. PTS, good evening. Looks like I've timed it well for the approach. Yep, we're going to have a shot at the approach into Palanga very shortly. Roundbert93 says, going to be good this one. Think you will make it. Going to be tight, but it's fun when you're planning and briefing it for us all. What to expect just in case and everything to go into it. Thank you very much, Roundbert93. It's all it is. It's always making sure you have plan A and then plan B, so we know exactly what we're going to do if we have to divert, and that's why we discuss it with these weather conditions, because I'm not confident we're going to get in, and you don't want to go around and then go, well, now what? It's very important from both a legal and a safety perspective. You know exactly what you're going to do.
50, 40,
you know, if you
30,
can't go in, which is what we've been discussing in length in this stream today. Michael, thank you very much again for another donation. Thanks to $5 Australian dollars.
Hey Captain, hope you're having a great flight and can fly out in the real world more soon. Have a coffee from Mouse slightly smiling face.
Thank you very much for your kind words and your slightly smiling face emoji, Michael. Very kind. And I'll be sure to get myself a coffee. I'll definitely need one after this stream, so thank you very much for continued support. Edward said, when are we going to fly the 200 again? Very soon. I think my next different aircraft will be the... well, let me know. Do you want the 200 guys or the 727? The 727 is getting a little rusty in the hangar at the moment. The last flight we did was from Bergamo to East Midlands about 4 months ago. And I've flown the 737-200 a couple of times since, but obviously that's very similar to what we fly. And lots of, yeah, obviously the Microsoft Flight Simulator, people would like me to fly the CRJ again. Lucy says, thanks for checking it out. Been strange not hearing or seeing any aircraft fly over my house as I'm on the main flight path for runway 33 in Birmingham. Very quiet at the moment, Lucy, as you can imagine with the pandemic. Yes, looks like the 727 is getting slightly more favourable requests there. Yeah, 727 says Tim. Yeah, I think the 72. We have 727s. We have one in Greenland. Can you remember that stream we did to Greenland in the 727? That's been there for months. Yeah, nice little. I might do like a 2 or 3 hour sector in that aircraft or something. A Daring Chicken, what is your favourite time of day to fly in the real world? I prefer flying during the day, and I also prefer early shifts over late shifts. I like finishing kind of mid-afternoon, evening, especially if you're doing a very late flight. If you're leaving at 6-7 o'clock in the evening, I hate the waiting around. So you're waiting around at home just to go to work. I'd rather just get up, work, and go to bed after. Pan, where was the last 727 flight? I actually have a FlyJSim playlist, so if you go to my main YouTube channel, have a look at the FlyJSim playlist, and they are in date order, I think. But right, we're approaching flight level 180, and oh no, I've just accidentally deleted my pre-saved view for the EFB. There we are. So let's go down to our next restriction. We're inbound to Veleb, so it is to go down to... well, it's an altitude here, so let's just go down to... re-engage VNav here, because I went to it's quiet. Let's go down just to say flight level 80 initially. That's still above the MSA. And we'll go from there. Now there's an aircraft right on top of me, I think. Where is he? It's just 1,300 feet above. Usually you can spot them quite quickly on here, but I can't see him on the network. It looks like it's literally about 30 seconds behind us. He's within 5 miles anyway. Captain Puddy says, yeah, runway was visible only at 200 feet from touchdown, so you got in. Oh, okay. Ben Matthews, what's the procedure for when on takeoff and you get the wind shear call out? Well, in the 737, if you get any wind shear warning during the takeoff roll, it's an immediate rejected takeoff, even above 80 knots, so that's what you want to be doing. But if you get yourself airborne and you're in wind shear, you follow the wind shear escape manoeuvre. Now, for the A300, I don't know, but the 737 is disconnect autopilot, toga, aggressively apply full power, disconnect the auto throttle, you simultaneously roll wings level and pitch up to 15 degrees, retract speed brakes, and then you follow the toga guidance. If you push toga, actually it's one of the few manoeuvres where you actually have correct guidance from the flight directors. And then when you're clear of wind shear, the most challenging part is actually resuming your previous phase of flight. So is it on approach, you'd you know, merge into the go around. If you're just taken off, you do your after takeoff profile. So yeah, pretty nasty wind shear. I've never had a proper wind shear escape. I've never had to do a full wind shear escape. I've had wind shear, but you know, one that was manageable with the performance of the aircraft. But I've never had a wind shear warning. Lucy, have you ever had a bird strike? Yes, I'd say on average once a year. Most of the time they don't do too much damage, but if there's any dent or if it's gone through the core of the engine, which you can usually tell because it smells of chicken, no word of a lie, 'cause I've smelt it, you're grounded until the aircraft's been inspected by engineers. James Mid D, could you please explain the 80 knot call out on takeoff? Thanks. Absolutely, it's a very important call, James, because it divides the takeoff between the low speed and high speed rejected takeoff regime. So below 80 knots, we can reject for pretty much any reason. So a master caution, you know, all the usual stuff, engine fires, failures, of course, wind shear, doors opening, anything like that. But above 80 knots, it's the high speed rejected takeoff regime, and we can only reject for a set level of certain things. So the only things we can reject above 80 knots for are fires or fire warnings, engine failure, a predictive wind shear warning, or if in the eyes of the crew the aircraft is unsafe to fly, as if you rotate and it's not going to fly or something like that. So above 80 knots, it's very, you know, you can only reject the takeoff for those different things. Now, if ATC were shouting at me to stop because there's an aircraft 100 feet above us at 90, 100 knots, I'll be inclined to do that. But above 80 knots, it's only usually those reasons, as mentioned. What was I going to say, 80 knots is also very cool, because a very important call, not only for the high speed, low speed RTO, it's a cross check to make sure the airspeed indicators are working correctly. So the pilot monitoring will call 80 knots. The pilot flying will then look at their airspeed indicator and then say check. That serves for two purposes: one, to make sure the airspeed is the same, and two, incapacitation. So is the guy still alive? You know, you might go 80 knots and he's slumped over because you're concentrating on the airspeed, he's just fainted or whatever. So it serves for two reasons. So yeah, high speed, low speed takeoff regime, incapacitation check, airspeed check. So that's why it's so important to make that call. Bank angle, yes. Right guys, right, there's just no ATC here, and there's traffic. I mean, there's someone literally right behind me. I mean, he's literally there on the... I can't see him though. I think I might just pop offline, guys. There's no ATC. It's a procedural approach. There he is. Look, he's literally right behind me in his biz jet. Yeah, I generally... I mean, I know people have joined me on the flight and stuff, but if there's no ATC, guys, it's a procedural approach. There really is not any benefit for staying online. And I know that sounds... I know there's guys that join me on the flights and stuff like that, but all it's gonna do is uncoordinate things and be distracting. And it's a procedural approach, so you know, we just fly the approach in LNAV, VNAV, and monitor it. How do you know he's there? Says Pan Golin. He's just there on the TCAS. Look, it's within 5 miles and 2,000 feet above us. Yeah, it's chaos on the ground, 2 aircraft on the runway at the same time. And I go, yeah, well, based on that, Callum, I am going to disconnect. And I am sorry, because I know people join on the network, but all it is going to be is people talking over me on Unicom whilst I'm trying to put on a realistic show and stuff. So I do apologise, and I know people join me here, but without ATC, it's going to be a little less easy to manage here. Right, anyway, turn the music off. We'll turn up the volumes now. We are below flight level 100, so we'll do our post-cruise checks now. So fuel, we've got 4 pumps on, 5 tons, plenty for us to divert. Remember, we needed 2.6 to get to Vilnius. AP's off, pressurization 3.0 set, seatbelts on, recall, and we have around 10 minutes to landing. All looking good. Rambert says, stay online, you should give way. Yeah, you haven't seen what happens on that without ATC. Crew says the animosity in the way you said bizjet, not at all. He's zipping along quite quickly though.
1,000 to go.
Checked. Right, so next we have 5,000 feet restriction coming up at Papa Alpha 401. So what we're going to do is descend to 5,000 feet. We'll set the QNH. We'll go off the latest meta. Well, thank you very much, Lucy, for grabbing that. QNH is 1019er. So passing 8,600, 5,000 feet, standby altimeter is set. And so we've got 2305, 1,700 meters, so we need 550 to fly the approach, so we're fine for the RVR. Mist, broken at 100, that's not great, so it could be that we're in cloud at 230 feet above the ground. 3 degrees, QNH 1019. Could be touch and go, and you know what active sky's like, we'll see the runway at 6 miles and then we'll be plunged into IMC. Very good. Dynasty says this is going to be good. I mean, I'm tempted to go around anyway and demonstrate a diversion because it'll shake it up a bit anyway. It'll be something different for the stream. I mean, I always follow everything as we would do by the book, so if I am visual at minimums, of course I'm going to land. But I don't know, it would be nice to sort of divert and demonstrate it. Good practice for me as well. Right, well, the airport is down there, below the clouds. Captain Paudy said, active sky, nothing to see, and at 200 feet I saw the runway. Oh, okay. But yes, we're constantly assessing the situation. We've got 5.3 tons, we need 2.6 divert, so we can comfortably fly 2 approaches and do a full missed approach procedure for both of them, and divert and have fuel to spare. So it's always worthwhile taking, you know, in these situations where I can see the weather's like this, we have to legally, as per our ops manual, take fuel for an alternate. We have to check them, as we discussed earlier, the minima, to make sure the minima is 1 category below what we're expecting, and we have the RVR required at the planning stage by looking at the TAF. And we then even have to make sure the fuel is for that furthest alternate as well. And then with that gives you that minimum block fuel figure, and then on top of that, whack on extra fuel. Because in these sort of weather conditions, you can expect delays as well. Aircraft holding, you know, they have to really slow down, especially if LVPs are in force. They have to really slow down the airport's speed, the pace things are done. Would be nice diversion. Yeah, can't see the sky here in the soupy ceiling. What are those marks under the wiper for? Here, actually a very good question. I think it's to do with the window heat, the heating elements, but that's what that's drawn on the windscreens. Could you do a touch and go for the diversion? So you want me to basically, if I'm visual at minimums, continue as I would, but then actually conduct a touch and go and then divert. Very realistic.
1,000 to go.
Checked. Right, anyway, I might do. I'll see what the crowd says. Right, Nappers, we can go down to 3,000 feet. VNAV is managing this very, very nicely. And we're going to be routing onto a kind of a short final here, so it's going to get very busy. We're around 5 minutes to land. Henrik says, what's the big deal with the weather? Today, the weather, Hendrik, the visibility is very low, and it's right upon what we need to have legally to be able to land. So these figures here, you have your minimums and RVR requirements. The RVR is 1,200 meters, required 550. The cloud base is at 100 feet, and the minimums is at 230 feet. So you can see when we get to minimums, we could well be in cloud still. And you need to, at minimums, legally see for a Cat 1 ILS some element of the approach light system, be it the approach lights, the runway edge lights, the centerline lights. So yeah, and you've got to be able to comfortably see that all the way down to a continued landing. Right, anyway, yeah, better quickly do the approach checks. It's going to be onto a 4-mile final here. So ILS is 110.1, 110.1, which is active once twice. Courses are 188. Our set fixed rings are in, and we've got the idents. We've got Ian here, and no Ian on the FO side, but it'll be coming any second. Approaches armed on the standby SFD, and we're all good. Checks complete. Touch and go sound, son. Oh, let me know, guys, quickly. So we've had to turn base here. I'm actually going to go flap 1 because we're around 10 miles to land. Level change. That's now going to pitch for the speed, and we've got idle thrust here. Yeah, let me know if you want me to do a touch. If I'm visual at minimums, do you want me to do a touch and go and divert? Because I think a lot of you guys would like to see the diversion. And you get to see that lovely freeware scenery I downloaded. Touch and go. And we never planned for touch and go, but it's called a rejected landing. It's exactly the same as a normal missed approach, except just wait until you're above VREF until you rotate into the air again. So we've got flap 1. Speed's coming back. We're still in VNAV. Sorry, level change. Just kind of monitoring the VNAV path and profile. Going to make our base turn very soon. Looks like it's a fly over waypoint. Yeah, I'm just going to route manually direct to Papa Alpha 452 now. Execute. There we are, it's a bit more of a tidier base turn now, and we can descend down to 1300 feet. Where are we diverting? We'll be diverting to Vilnius. Proper missed approach. Touch and go, be better to learn. Touch and go, divert to Riga. Touch and go. Okay. Diversion for sure. I think it'll be beneficial to show you the diversion. So imagine if we're visual, we'll continue, and I'll do a touch and go. If I'm not visual, I've got to go around anyway, because that's what we do in real life. But anyway, look at that, straight to a 5-mile final. So we'll go flat 5 now. Bring the speed back to the flat 5 speed. Oh, I'm a little bit high here. There we are. There's a glide slope. That should come back in nicely. So I've just got the speed brake out, just to help us out. And I will just put the alerts off. There we are, it's going to be very busy. Right, speed brake away. Ooh, rip FPS, I'm struggling a little bit here. Vertical speed. That was actually pretty much bang on profile. Looking good. Can we do a bounce touch and go, says Kieran. touch and go. Looking good. Yeah, I think it'll be quite cool, and I can demonstrate, you know, the diversion. But we know it might be visual anyway. Right, about to enter cloud, so I'll put the engine anti-ice on. And I'll also make it... oh no, I'll keep the time as it is, actually. Slammer and go. So all looking good, correct sensing, alarming approach.
1,000 to go.
God, my FPS would have been offline anyway. Look at that, 20. It's really struggling at the moment for no reason. So in the event of a rejected landing then, guys, what happens if we touch down and the speed brake is extended to the up position and the auto brakes engage? As soon as you advance the thrust levers, the speed brake will automatically retract. The auto brake will automatically disengage as well, so you don't have to worry about doing that manually. Right, anyway, onto a 5-mile final. Localizer alive, localizer capture. Runway heading 188. And glide slope capture, missed approach altitude is 3,000 feet. And approaching 5 miles, gear down, flap 15, match speed, landing checklist to flaps. So, start switch is continuous, recall checked, speed brake, armed green light, landing gear, down 3 green, auto brake is set to max, and we're holding on the landing flap. Just going to initially select flap 25. It was flat 40. Below 162 knots, we can now select flat 40. VRF plus 5. So, Flaps we have 40, 40, and green light, landing lights, imagine being cleared to land, checks complete. So there we are. So, not much to see, guys. Very, very foggy. We're going to expect to see the runway at minimums. The cloud base is 200 feet HL. So we're going to do one of two things. Minimums, can't see anything, we'll go around. And if we are visual, we're going to continue. I'll then demonstrate a rejected landing, and we'll go to the missed approach, and then we'll divert to Vilnius. There we are, everyone's happy then. Order brake max, yes, well we are planning, if we can land, which we're not going to anymore, to vacate at, what was it, Alpha there, Alpha. Right, look, so ground's kind of in and out of view, 660 feet AGL, this looks super realistic. Oh, back into IMC, well, that was, if it's broken, that's actually quite realistic. So remember, it's a DA that minimums today, we have to immediately decide what we're going to do. Fully stabilised in IMC at the top of the white bar. Again, the pilot monitoring will call continue or go around if we're not stable at this stage. I'm just going to get myself comfortable if I have to go around. Let's just match the thrust. Not looking good though at the moment. We'll be flying a monitored approach as well, so FO will be flying this. Here we go.
Minimum.
No, no good. Go around. Flap 15. And I could just see the lights coming into view as I move around, and set go around first. Pause, ready, climb. Gears coming up. Now wait for 400 feet to select a roll mode. There we are, 400 feet. We can now select LNAV, and we can initiate flap retraction now. We're above flap 15 bug, so we can select flap 5. So this is reduced go around thrust, one push of toga. GA gives you around 86 to 90% to maintain around 1,000 to 2,000 feet per minute. We can now select flap 1 as we're above the flap 5 bug. And the flaps up. And I saw when we went around, when we came down, the lights just came into view. But if you initiate the go around, that's it. You know, you can't then say all the lights are in view and then cancel it. Once you've initiated it, around you go. And now we're going to hand fly up till we get to 3,000 feet. So there's the 1,900 feet. In reality, it should command a turn now to the beacon. But remember what I said earlier, there's a slight issue with the coding, and if I start modifying it, it doesn't work in the mod at the moment. So out acquire, the speed window now opens. If you're still retracting the flaps, you'd bug up manually, but we're just going to bug 220 knots. Ooh, not concentrating. Don't forget to level off. Ooh. Oh dear, I was too busy chatting away. So just looking through the flight directives here, just to get back to 3,000 feet. And once you have out hold engaged, just make sure you're in trim. There we are, command, and now we can do the after takeoff checklist. Now it's doing a right turn to hold, so off. We then leave the order brake into position if we're going to fly another approach, and then we check the air conditioning and pressurization. We're out of cloud at the moment, so engine anti-ice is off, and that's all set. And there we are. After takeoff checklist is complete. So what we do at this stage, well, let's make sure we're actually heading where ATC wants to. So remember, aviate, navigate, communicate. Aviate, yes, we're at the missed approach altitude. The aircraft's in a right turn back to the Papa November beacon, the NDB to hold, and we just need to make sure that's in the FMC. So if we go here to the legs page, you'll get messages like that, that's normal, but hold, Papa November, that should be coded, and that is 188 left hand turns. And it'll be 1 minute legs because we're below 14,000 feet. There's no distance. Execute, and there we are. It's now coded into the FMS, so it's all looking hunky-dory. I'm just seeing how that's being. Hold on. Oops, I put the wrong direction in. That's why. I was looking at the picture thinking it's a little bit incorrect. So you put the reciprocal 008 left-hand turns. You know what to do in chat, ladies and gentlemen, members of this channel. Execute 008 left. Put the wrong one in there. That's looking better. So that's a direct entry. So we're now happy. The aircraft's going into the hold. Disarm the speed brake as well after takeoff checklist. So the first thing that's going to happen, the cabin crew are actually going to contact us to see. They do a PA to the passengers to say, right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going around. The captain will be with you shortly for more information. We then call the cabin crew and say, look, this is the reason we've we've gone around because of the weather, and then we'd actually have an hour brief discussion of what we're going to do. Marshall Hogan, 222 should have been bugged. Absolutely correct. Yes, if you go around and select flaps up, it'll automatically bug 222, which is the up speed based off your maximum takeoff weight. It did bug for 224 for some reason. I'll mention that to ZIBO. So we've done the cabin crew message. I'll do a typical PA. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the Flynet captain speaking, we just had to fly a missed approach in Palanga due to the weather. We're just going to get an update from ATC, and we'll come back to you with more information as soon as we have it. Now, we'll do that PA regardless, even though we might know at this stage we're certain we're not going to get in again, but you don't want to obviously tell the passengers that just yet, because we don't know what we're going to exactly do yet as well. And ATC might be saying stand by for your attentions. We'll be like, yeah, stand by, because we're going to decide what to do. Now, in real life, I think what I would have done is that missed approach. Yeah, we will already be on our way now to our alternate, but again, what did it look like? Well, at minimums, yeah, we didn't see anything. When we initiated the missed approach, you know, we just got below TS, saw some lights, but it's only going to get worse. In fact, if we get that METAR again, you probably see the RVRs dropped even further the later on we go here. So I think it was 1,200 meters. We'd obviously get an exact, we could get an exact RVR reading from the tower. Looking right now, the RVR in Palanga, it's the same. It's actually increased slightly, 1,400 meters, but it's still broken at 100 feet. So I'd say in real life, with the amount of fuel I've got, I'd probably have a second shot at that approach. I'm not going to, because I want to demonstrate the diversion today. But yeah, if the RVR dropped off, got worse, or the cloud base, it's overcast at 100. Am I going to get in? Probably not. It very much depends where we go. So we'd already have the weather for our alternates, because we would have been proactive in getting that if we thought the risk of diversion was high. Looking at our planned alternate then, Vilnius, it's 8,000 meters right now, no significant cloud, and 3 degrees, and they're forecasting fog after 0100 Zulu. That's in just over 2 hours from now. So I'm happy that Vilnius is fine. We still have the option, if we need to pop in a Katowice, which is before Vilnius, where the weather's a little bit better, 9,000 meters, and also the RVR's forecast to drop off after 0100, and we also have Riga as a backup too. We need to decide one. We can go to Vilnius, and this is where you would have talked to the company beforehand. Where would they prefer us to divert to? Now, I should think geographically located where we are here, they'd want us to go to Katowice, because it is closer to Palanga, but the whole idea of the stream is for us to go to Vilnius, so there's that kind of decision making we've made already. But yeah, here we are geographically. We're here in the hold. Katowice is about there. I should think in real life they probably want us to Katowice, because there's a main road between the two. The distance is around 80 miles. They probably just bust the passengers. Vilnius is a bit further, and the weather's better in Katowice as well. So yeah, all of these decisions will come into effect looking at the weather, the commercial aspects. We need to be confident where we're diverting to is good, but let's carry on with the sector as it was, and we'll divert to Vilnius. So how do we go about diverting? So we need to go into the FMC and have a look at the flight plan at the alternate routing. Now at this stage we could already be on our way, so you know, ATC might just say, okay, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, you want to divert to Vilnius, no problem, turn left heading this, or route direct to X waypoint, and we're just going to say, okay, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, you want to divert to Vilnius, route direct to Manux. So what we're going to do is go to the legs page, and we can put Manux here, execute, and you can do it several ways. You can exit hold, or you can just route direct to Manux like that, execute, engage LNAV, and there we are, and we're already on our way. So the important thing is get the aircraft going in the direction we want to. So we'll imagine to go, okay, Alpaca 1 Lima Quebec, route direct to Manux, and we want you to now climb flight level 120. So 120 is set. We'll go level change. Nothing else will work because I don't have an FMS program, but at least we're on our way towards our alternate. We'll go to 250. And we've checked the fuel, 4.7 with 2.6, so we can still get there comfortably with fuel remaining and then some, so that's all looking good. So we're going to Manux. We now need to load up the FMS, so if we go here to the route page, first thing is to change your destination, so we're going to Vilnius now, Echo Yankee Victor India, execute. We can now go to the route page. Now interestingly, it has all the routing from the original flight. That shouldn't be there. It should just have direct Manux in the route page. I'm 99.9% sure that should say direct Manux, which it does at the bottom, but that should be on page 1 Let me just try this now. Mike 996. Oh, it might actually work. Nedam. And from Nedam, it's Nedam 2 Bravo. It's actually going to be the Nedam 2 Alpha because of the runway in use in Vilnius 180 so we can expect ILS 19er. And for Vilnius, it is, sorry, ILS Zulu 01, so Nedam 2 Alpha, and we can take that tailwind because it's going to possibly be low vis and we want the option to fly Cat 2. So it will be a Nedam 2 Alpha. So arrivals, Nedam 2 Alpha, ILS Zulu 01 via the buildy transition, execute. Have a look at the routing. Oh yeah, so obviously look, set standards. Look, this is where it gets very busy because we're basically getting ATC. Pilot monitoring will be communicating with ATC. He'll be updating the routing. I'll be flying the aeroplane as pilot flying, so that's why I'm missing some of these steps here. So it looks like initially the routing's all in here. I'll imagine we've got continuous climb, so climb flight level 270 to our alternate flight level. 270. And we can set it here again, and don't forget to update the landing altitude, which we'll do at the briefing stage as well. Cool. Thank you very much to Bjorn. Sandvik has just joined as a member. Sorry I missed that. I'll turn the alerts back on. There we are. Welcome aboard. Glad you're enjoying the content. You'll get invited to our members-only Discord. Enjoy using your custom emojis and chat. And thank you very much for the support. Cool. So we go to VNAV now because we have the routing reprogrammed into the FMC. That would have made you feel sick. Where are we going, ZIBO? I know what it's doing. I think I know what it's doing. Level change. You need to update the cruise altitude. So 270. Check altitude target. That's better. Let's try that again. VNAV. There we are. Look at that. Top of climb and top of descent right on top of each other. That's how it's programmed. It can be like that, but 270 is the height we want to be, and we can again do the post-cruise check. So fuel, we check. We have 4.4 new, estimated fuel arrivals 3.2, still plenty. Logos off, APs off, pressurization 4.5 set. Oh no, we'll leave them on. Recall checks. This is hard. This is because I'm having to do the jobs of everything. I'm having to plan the diversion on my own without first officer. I've not even done the bit where we talk to cabin crew and everything. So have we all got it loaded in? Yes, I'm happy the FMS is loaded and the flight management computers got a top of climb, top of descent, all looking good. So what we would have done before this or during this is contact the cabin crew saying, right, sorry guys, can't get into Palanga, we're now diverting to Vilnius due to the weather, and they'll be like, yeah, no problem, because we would have probably told them at the start of the day as well. We would have said, guys, look, the weather in Palanga isn't that great, there is a chance we'll be diverting to Vilnius. So when we tell them that, it doesn't come as an immediate surprise. They'll be sort of like, oh, you did say that earlier in the briefing. So what I'll do now, look, I'll update the fly live above, so that's going to now give us some more accurate information. I'll put Palanga to where are we going now? Vilnius, Echo Yankee Victor India, and press OK, and there we are. We've now updated everything above you. So then we've done that. We'll now update the passengers. So the passengers would possibly also say, oh look, this is strange, we're quite close to the runway and now we're going up, so they're going to be asking questions, and by now I would have definitely have told them. So a little PA, so something like, ladies and gentlemen, captain for the flight deck, please accept our apologies, we can't get into Palanga today due to the weather. Visibility is a little bit too low. Unfortunately, that means we're going to have to divert. We're on our way to Vilnius. We'll be landing in approximately 25 minutes. And as soon as we have you on the ground, we'll be back with you with more information regarding onwards travel arrangements. And sorry for the inconvenience. Thanks for choosing Flybound Back Airways. Okay, so something along those lines. And what happens next really could be anyone's guess. It could be that the passengers, we land, the weather improves, and we go back. We might overnight, and then put all the passengers in hotels, try again in the morning. They might get a bus or something like that. And I should think, kind of commercially, we would have diverted to Kaunas, because that's the nearest large city where the weather was good, and a little bit closer, where, I can't remember what the code is for Kaunas, but it's somewhere in between here. But no, for the purposes of exercise, we'll divert a little bit further to Vilnius. And, diversions you can actually cover some significant distances in diversions. Many years ago, we were going into Poland, and Poland, about 8-9 years ago, they didn't have any precision approaches. They were all either Cat 1 ILS at some airports, or they had very few. They all autolands. It was only Warsaw which had Chopin, which had Cat 2, and we once diverted from somewhere in Poland, undisclosed destination, all the way back to Berlin, and it took us about 45 minutes to get there. So yeah, don't be, it's not unusual to have to divert huge distances when there's a lot of disruption over a large area. For example, thunderstorms like the UK is another classic example. If you're flying to a destination in the south of UK, so London, Norwich, Bournemouth, Southampton, and there's strong winds everywhere, you might even have to divert off island, north of France, Holland. Those things can happen. So yeah, there you go. They're all the options. Right, I've been chatting away for about 15-20 minutes. I hope you've all sort of found it interesting. I kind of gave you my insights of, how I'd approach this in real life. There'd be so many more things involved, so the company, ATC, discussion with the FO. I'm just using my experience to kind of discuss some of the situations and what I'd apply flying. And I haven't really been looking at chat here either, so apologies for not answering any questions, but I hope you found that interesting. So yeah, right, there's not much time to dilly-dally either. Look, straight up to 270, descending again. I saw someone ask a question regarding what's the point of going up there if you're only going to be there for a few minutes. This is actually the most efficient way of doing it, because we're at high power. Yes, we're burning a lot of fuel, but the higher we go, even for a short period of time, the more efficient the engines are. And don't forget, when we descend, the thrusters are idle, so they're only burning around 600 kilos an hour between them. So yeah, it's always beneficial to get up as high as you can. Listerman says, passengers be like kind of long this PA. Are we going home tonight or not? Go. Simone Kai says, hello. Yeah, probably missed some of your questions, but this is very intensive, guys, so sorry if I missed any questions in chat here. A lot going on here. Rosie says Countess would be a great diversion. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you. Countess is where we'd probably be going. I just want to carry on to Vilnius, just because it's the capital, and that's where the stream would be. So coming into my decision making was the show tonight. But yeah, we'll go to Katowice at some point as well. Anyway, approaching 270, we need to start setting up for our approach into Vilnius. So, airport. Echo Yankee Victor India. We're going to put approach here. If I was online on VATSIM, if there was ATC, it would have really have made things more interesting. Right, approach, sorry, arrival Nedam 2 Alpha. Be Cat 1, I think we'll be fine for Cat 1 for now. If not, we can always go to Cat 2. And we'll select airport. There we are. So, descent winds, I'm not going to... Actually, you know what? I will put them in because it's quite strong here. So yeah, super intensive. Pilot monitoring would already be putting the routing in at this stage whilst I'm flying it. So when I hand over controls, it's all set up ready. Obviously the workload's twice as much when I'm streaming. That's the second flight plan. So winds you can either get off, well, if I can actually use the second flight plan winds, they're never going to be too far off what this says, but if I go here to the second flight plan in this case, the winds are going to be precisely the same because we're diverting. Otherwise you can just look at area charts to get a rough idea, but these will work nicely. 250 below 100, we're already at 270, that's executed. Just going to put in 200 and 100 winds. So they're all there for the previous
50,
flight.
40,
delete.
30, 20.
Thank you,
10.
Fabio Aragoni, for the €5, very kind.
Hi, Captain.
Hi.
High quality content.
Thank
As
you.
always, _FD2 STOPGUND.
I think I heard Top Gun there, Fabio. I'll take it. Thank you very much for your donation, buddy. Very, very kind. Glad you're enjoying this sort of slightly different stream today. I kind of, wanted to divert so I could show it to you because I've never done a proper diversion before, so it's very nice to fly today. Cool, thanks, buddy. Right, 270, approaching top of descent. Descent winds are in, and the QNH in Vilnius is 1019 is exactly the same. So 1019, we can leave that set. Fixed rings we can now delete from our old airport. And we now want runway 01 fixed. So we're taking a slight tailwind today, but that does have the... I think they prefer runway 01 here. You can have up to a 10 knot tailwind to land as well. Put a 5-mile ring just in case it is still IMC. We're already at top of descent, so I won't put the 3 times height ring in. We'll already go straight down, look. Let's have a look here. The arrival will be a sensible altitude to descend to, which is as per the chart. Urcal 110, so let's go down to 110. VNAV should be able to do that there. Now, I have to admit, the mod is behaving really nicely. Oh, another thing we do when we divert, guys, we fly. There's no point now because we're level, but we fly the cruise segment at long-range cruise. That speed, now let me try and get this correct now. So long-range cruise, it's a slight increase in fuel burn, but very marginal, about 1%, but it gives you a much higher cruise velocity, about 3-5% higher, and we always fly that at those speeds here. So it's not really much point because it was such a short cruise there. Matt, thank you very much for the £1. Let me just finish tidying this up and I'll read that donation. Sorry. So runway 01. Let's have a look at the approach chart here. 110.5 is the new ILS frequencies. Super intensive this. Super intensive. 110.5. And we also have Vilnius 13.8. We can put that on standby. 13.8. Courses 014. 014. And here we are, 014. Cool. Minimums. So we do have Cat 2 available, but we'll fly Cat 1 for now. Again, same RVR 550. And no terms suggesting the lights are adoptive, so we don't require higher RVR minimums. 843, much higher elevation here. 843. And minimums 248 AGL, so 843 is set. So I've got everything I need. Frequency courses minimums. Matt, thanks for the £1. He says, Varshavas Centre here, thanks for flying, nobody else reported. It's that quiet. If you listen back at the stream, Matt, it was very quiet for you. Seems the settings messed up. Next time, poke on us more. I'm not aware if it's that bad once nobody reports it. Greetings. No problem, Matt. I usually let the controllers know if they're a bit quiet. But no, thank you so much to the ATC, buddy. It sounded very professional, knew exactly what you were doing. And very, very kind of you to provide the ATC. And have a great evening, sir. And good night. Superb. Right, frequencies, courses, minimums. Arrival then, coming in via... Hold on. I've been jumping the gun here. Look, so this is the problem. Like when I'm trying to chat to you guys and try and check things here. I presumed we were coming in from Urkel, but we're actually coming in via Nedam. So be very careful. Check your charts here. I mean, you don't usually have to stream when you're playing on the sim, and that's why we're all good here. So Nedam 125, and it's 100 above 5 Victor India 303. Nedam Victor India 303, 100 above, max 250 knots at that point. Then direct to Bildi, 230 knots or below, 5,000 feet. That's the initial approach fix. From Bildi, we'll be flying the transition to Nessa Victor India 312, which is on the extended descent line, and that's all coded correctly. It has given us a 2,700 to 3,000 feet restriction. Looking here, I can't see anything like that, and also my operator's charts, it just says 3,000 feet or above, so I'm just going to put 3,000 feet or above here at Victor India 312. No, and above, please. There we are. And next we have 2,700 feet at F501, which is the final approach fix. There you go. Victor India 311 as well. So it's all coded correctly. FI01, FI01, and then down we go to the minimums. Cool. So last thing we need to do is, what else on top of the briefing strip? Frequencies, courses, minimums, elevation. So airport elevation 649. Oh, I accidentally forgot to save, like, the views. It's so easy to delete sometimes. What was the height? 650. 650. So, frequencies, courses, minimums are set. MSA is 2,700. Landing performance then, we've got a 2,500 metre runway for runway 01. We'll try to vacate at Delta, if not we also have the high speed at Bravo. Happy with the performance, guys. We'd also always double check everything with the performance calculator, just because of the pace of this stream. We can reselect our weight here, so we're going to burn another 500 kilos, 59 tonnes is our new landing weight, and we'll go flap 30 now, auto brake. Let's go auto brake 3, gives us the option for Delta. Set, and we'll use idle reverse thrust as well. I think we've done everything. Checks complete. Wow, and that is just an idea of how intensive diverting is. And this diversion airport wasn't the closest, also not that far away, but you can see the pace at which things have to be completed in a single pilot environment. Don't forget, this is a multi-crew aircraft. The first officer, or pilot monitoring I should say, will be punching in the routing in for you whilst you're flying the aircraft and putting the arrival in, meaning when we get to the point of, say, we finished planning our diversion, it's finished being set up, he can hand over control, brief the approach, check the performance, and go from there. And that's it. Checks are all complete. Check the fuel again, 3.7. We've got loads of spare gas. We're going to be arriving and landing with 3.3. And don't forget, now we've diverted. Usually, if you didn't take any extra fuel, you are committed to landing at your destination. That's why I said at the planning stage, it is so important that you are confident that when you divert, you can get into that airport, which is why you have that planning minima. If it's a Cat 2 approach available, you need to make sure you have Cat 1 RVR minima for the approach. If it's a Cat 1 approach available, you need to make sure you have the non-precision approach minima for the approach. That way, when you do divert, you know the weather, as forecast, cannot preclude you from flying an approach. But yeah, that's it really from those stages. I'm going to have a drink of water. There we are. Standard bank angle, says David Smith. Yep, bank angle 25 degrees. We're descending to flight level 100, sir. Andy M71, have you set the landing altitude on the overhead panel? I have, 650 feet. But I should think I hadn't done it by the time you said that. Simly Bob, how many times can you divert? Well, it depends how much fuel you have. Now, if they would tell me now, oh, look, Vilnius is now closed, well, thankfully, we have that capacity today because we took additional fuel to still have options of going elsewhere, and I believe that's Kaunas directly below us, so we'd also have that as an option. Now, you've got to realise, like, if we take standard fuel, which we never would have done today, but as an example, had we just taken the standard fuel, where's the flight plan? That's the second flight. So we'll get rid of that and get the first flight plan again. Had we taken 5.8 tonnes of fuel, and we've done exactly as we've done everything here, well, we can work it out. What did we leave with earlier? It was 8.1, wasn't it? 8.1 tonnes of fuel. And we now have 3.7, so 8.1 minus 3.7 is 4.4. So had we taken standard fuel, it would have been 5.8 minus 4.4. We now have 1.4 tonnes of fuel left on board. 1.4 tonnes of fuel left on board. And we'd probably be advising ATC, or certainly asking for an estimated approach time. And if there was any possibility that there would be a delay, we'd possibly make a minimum fuel call. And a minimum fuel call means that you expect to any further delay or change to your existing routing might put you in a position where you're burning your final reserves. But yes, had I not taken that extra fuel, I would have had 1.4 tonnes, which is what I'd expect, because we'd be using our alternate fuel and anticipating of landing with this amount of fuel over, or just over a tonne of fuel here. And you can work it out, 1.4 tonnes we would have had on board, and we're going to burn another 400 kilos. There you are, a tonne of fuel. So you can see exactly how the fuel figures work. That's quite interesting to actually have demonstrated there. Hugo, I suppose that if you divert and you cannot get into the diversion and you don't have fuel to another diversion, that's the merging. Absolutely correct, Hugo. So let's imagine that was the situation today. The weather actually wasn't a problem. We got to Palanga, whatever reason, the runway was closed. We had to divert, and then we're here, and if they now said, now Vilnius is closed, I'd be making a Mayday call. I'd be Mayday, 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 Alpaca 2 Victor, November, Mayday fuel, because I've committed to diverting. You know, I know I'm going to be landing with 1.1 tonnes. Well, actually, would I make a Mayday call straight away? Possibly not, because I do have, in this example here, Kaunas directly below me, so I could possibly say, yeah, no problem, we'll go to Kaunas. But what happens if the weather's not great? You know, I haven't planned it. But yeah, if you find yourself in a situation where you've used all your options, Unless Imagine Counters wasn't there, Vilnius was a remote airfield, yeah, you've got to make a mayday call, and maybe, hopefully, they'll clear the runway as soon as possible. But the chances that's happening are extremely rare. Extremely rare. There you go. Andy, landing with 1 ton left at landing squeaky bum time. Precisely. You don't want to be landing anything less than... if you're on the approach and it's less than 1,200 kilos, you know, you're running out of options. Cool. Guys, yes, thanks Joe. If you are enjoying this slightly different stream, we've got 600 people watching and easily 380 likes. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button as well. It's been really fun to kind of discuss these options, and I tell you what, with the lack of flying going on now, exposing myself to these situations and discussing it with you, it's really beneficial for me because it makes me think about what we'd be doing in real life. It's a nice scenario to practice. I for sure will be looking some things up in our ops manual afterwards, you know, making sure that what I was discussing I was happy with, and it's really cool to discuss something different here. But if you are enjoying it, don't forget to smash the thumbs up button. Right, approaching flight level 100. And we can now step down to our next cleared level on this flight level. So we're going to go down to 5,000 feet to Buildy. I have to admit that the ZIBO mod is performing valiantly. The only slight issue was diverting, was having the full routing information. I'm pretty sure, I mean, I couldn't put money on it, but I'm pretty sure that routing wouldn't have been there. Anyway, 5,000 feet, QNH 1019. Passing 10,400, 5,000 feet. Now we should be slowing down to 2... Oops, that was me hitting the trim wheel. We should be slowing down to 250 knots at the moment. I think it's had a bit of a wobbly look. Yeah, look, Victor India 303. Whoops! ZIBO didn't quite realise that restriction was coming up, so it's also massively changed my profile. But that's quite normal. That 100 feet or above was keeping us high. It should have just made a bit more effort bringing the speed back to 250 knots. So I'm going to go level change 250. And... that's going to put us back on our profile and bring the speed back as well. And we'll do the post-cruise checks. Fuel, we have 4 pumps, 3.6 tons on. Lights coming on. APU's off. Pressurization is 2.9 set. Seatbelts are on. Recall checks complete. Looking good. Every day is an adventure in Alpaca Air, says Rory Shields. Absolutely. You never know what's going to happen. Callum, is there a lot of drama paperwork involved in a mayday or bag call once you're on the ground? Yes, if you're making a mayday call, that's definitely, well, at the very minimum report, you're going to definitely be getting some phone calls as well, just to not explain your, you know, why did you do that? It is, yeah, okay, well, look, you had to declare a mayday, let's see what happens, you know, and usually when these things line up, there's not just one reason you're making it, it's a combination. We've heard of the Swiss cheese model, you know, where cheese the holes line up in the Swiss cheese. Some people will be thinking, what are you going on about cheese for? But sometimes they all line up and it can get yourself into a situation, but it's all about why did we get into that situation? Can anything be changed in our procedures to prevent that from happening? But they do happen, fuel emergencies do happen, everything is planned meticulously, but things sometimes don't go to plan, and we're obviously basing all on this on a fully serviceable aircraft. What happens if I then have a technical problem, an engine failure, or the flaps don't extend, or my gear doesn't go down? So, you know, there's a quintillion different amount of combinations of different scenarios you could give yourself there. Anyway, as I was saying, the mod has been performing valiantly. We've been messing around with the FMS, we've diverted, we've changed all the settings, and it's still flying really nicely. VNAV profile. Yeah, that restriction earlier was actually fine. The 100 left us slightly high. It just should have perhaps put the speed back a bit sooner, and now we're back on profile. Yeah, look, it's not working out the decel points. Look, so I should think it's to do with the diversion. Look, VNAV Buildy 230 knots. It's not planning by the looks of it at all to give us 230 knots at Buildy. There is a decel point at Buildy, but I should think that's to start slowing down for the approach. So that's a little bit inaccurate. So we'll help it out a little bit. We'll go. Just go VNAV, see what it does. Oh, look, it's actually fine. I think it was just because I was obviously a level change. So did I miss the decel point before? Well, maybe it's fine. It's just me being a level change, guys. Or a fuel leak, absolutely, Danny. There's so many different combinations of things there. So yeah, my apologies. ZIBO was doing it fine. I was at level change, but yeah, 230. Trust the ZIBO mod when you think. If you ever think you're doing something wrong, it's probably, or the aircraft's doing something wrong, it's probably not the case. It's probably probably you. Corwin says, would you like to find the meters display? Well, it's just here. If you select that, you'll get your meters on your MCP altitude and on your present altitude. Right, we're now on the transition. So from Buildy, let's go down to our next charted altitude of 3,000 feet.
1,000 to go.
3,000 feet set. Thanks, John. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, David. Very, very good. But yeah, there we are, nice little diversion, and all that extra fuel, I took that extra hour's worth of fuel to come in very handily. We're now going to land in Vilnius with an extra hour than we would have had we not taken it, so always worthwhile having. Very, very cool. So it looks like we've got the ident now, so we'll do the approach checklist. So frequencies we have 110.5 active, our fixings are in, idents we have India Alpha Victor, India Alpha Victor, India Alpha Victor on Jim's side, and then the standby instruments are set. We still have approach from the previous approach, and 014 on the courses. Approach check's complete. On base leg now, so I'll select flap 1, and we'll open the speed window, we can stay in VNAV path, and we'll select flap 1, bug the flap 1 speed. Atomic Penguin, if ATC asks you present heading, how do you find out exactly? You can see present track on the ND, but is the heading somewhere to find? Absolutely. So you can see here, here's the wind coming from the left. That little white triangle is your heading. That is the nose of the aircraft. This white line is your track. So if ATC ever asks you what your heading is, it's where the white triangle on the arc is. You can see, look, our track right now is 107, but our heading is around 105 degrees or so to maintain that. Obviously, we're turning, so it's making it a little bit more tricky. Right, let's select vertical speed. We'll start shallowing this off. Looks like VNAV's left us a little bit low. Drag required? Really? We're on profile, but the glide slope's well above us. Well above us. So, something slightly wrong there with that one. Cool. Does that make sense, Atomic Penguin? It'll be a little bit easier to show once we're established on final. Correct sensing, alarm approach as well. There's localizer, live localizer capture, runway heading 014 set. I'll go flat 5. Can I get a CDA out of it? Yeah, I'm not sure why VNAV. I think it's planned a level segment here at 2,700 feet, but looking good. Natural flops, very good, Simile Bob. Raid Shahar, can you explain how to read minimums on the approach chart? Not at this very late stage, but I've done several streams where I have explained it. Next flight, I'll do a slightly longer sector, so I'll have a bit more time in the cruise to answer questions like this. Today's been quite intensive with the I say unplanned diversion. It was a sort of planned diversion, really. Oh, there we are, look. Managed CDA. Glide slope capture. Missed approach. Climb on 0 and 4 to 1,400 feet, 2,700 feet, then right to 5, or so to 5,000 feet. So it's 5,000 feet. Set. And there we are. Look at the weather here. I mean, I thought it was a little bit mistier, but no, it looks very nice here in Vilnius. So it was a fantastic alternate to choose. Candace was a bit closer, but at least we're going to where we plan to on the stream. Yeah, lovely weather here. 8,000 meters visibility, no significant clouds. So there you go, and that's what it is. We've safely diverted to an alternate where the weather's fine, and that's what we do in real life. We can even configure it 4 miles. Very good. So this is TDG scenery from 2014, a little bit outdated, but thankfully not much has changed at the airport. So we'll go for 4 miles. The reason I switched to 4 miles, guys, is because we're completely VMC, and we always try and configure at around 4 miles in these conditions. It saves fuel long term. A little bit of a crosswind. Yes, so let me just, before we configure, look, there's our actual heading right now. Track 014 heading is 010 degrees, so that's our heading right now. Cool, 4 miles then, gear down, flap 15, match speeds, landing checklist 2 flaps. So, Start switch is continuous. Recall checked. Speed brake, arm green lights. Landing gear down 3 green. Auto brake set to 3. And we're just holding on our landing flap. Flap 30. Look, the wind's just changed in the sim. 4 knots now. There we are. So flaps. We have 30, 30. Green light. Landing lights are on. Check's complete. We've got 3.5 tons, so I could comfortably fly another missed approach. Or 2 in Vilnius. We obviously don't want to fly missed approaches all day, but fuel situation's fine at this stage.
1,000 feet, stabilized, missed approach altitude set.
Checked, pitch power's spot on for our weight. Really love the mod so much. Disconnecting autopilot, disconnecting autothrottle, my controls. And, oh yeah, I was meant to switch over to night time, but that was based on us actually landing, but we've been airborne for nearly 2 hours. Looking good. Very small changes. So, top of the amber bars, 500 feet AGL, we're fully stabilised. Small changes on the control column. Oh, look at the weather, no wind, uh-oh. Let's see what I can do. Checked. 3 reds, a slight change, rate of descent. Trees are a bit in the way. Might keep descending, concerning.
Minimums.
Continue. Oh, 3 reds again. It's more the trees. Alright, now keep it descending. Or the runway, the touchdown zone's all wrong.
50, 40, 30,
oh, check.
20.
Close, coming in a bit quick there. Where's that runway? Oh, butter. Come on. Oh, lovely. Speed brakes up. Reverses. I'm going to go idle reverse. Last flight. Oh, I floated a bit too long, so we missed the exit there. 100 knots. That's just idle reverse, manual braking. And here comes 60 knots. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately to our passengers, welcome to Vilnius. But yeah, nice go around and diversion. Very happy. And we'll go to the end here. Beautiful. Right, slow to speed brake. Captain's select weather radar off and landing lights off. Select flaps up. To anyone that joined on VATSIM, my apologies as well. Just because no ATC, there wasn't much benefit staying online, and I know some of you joined in on the sector as well, especially. But yeah, being a procedural approach into Palanga without ATC, and then I heard there was aircraft everywhere, I was like, oh, we'll just go offline for this one. But yeah, I've really enjoyed that one. Hard work, and I must apologise because some of you watchers are non-English speakers, so I know I sometimes talk quite quickly. The reason is I'm trying to get as much information out as possible, and there's about 10 million things I genuinely want to explain at once, and it makes it difficult to answer questions in chat with flights like this, especially with so much going on. So yeah, my apologies for that, but if you have any questions, always feel free to drop it in the comment section. I try to get back to as many as possible post-stream, so thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much, Jared Lee, for the $5.
Captain, what is the procedure to land without flaps due to failure?
Thank you very much, Jared Lee, for your donation. Excellent question. Where are we going to start today? Let me just find... Let's go... There's a Ryanair here. Let's go next to the Ryanair. Just there. Oh my goodness, look at these wiggly lines. Well, we'll go that way. Excellent question. The chances, Jared Lee, of having a complete and total flap failure, both of the leading edge and trailing edge flaps, almost impossible. You have 2 flap systems, the leading edge, trailing edge. Leading edge, we can extend using the standby hydraulic system, but they can't be retracted in flaps. The trailing edge flaps can be extended electrically and retracted. However, there is guidance in the flight crew training manual what to do with flaps up landing. There's also landing performance data for that as well. So yeah, you'd fly the approach normally, you'd be flying around 180, 190 knots, and you essentially need to fly the aeroplane onto the runway. If you check and close and hold like you would do usually, guess what happens? You go straight back in the air again. So you really, in those situations, the same with a flat 15 landing, you sort of have to land or fly into the runway. Now when I say fly into the runway, I don't mean whack it down at 800 feet per minute, but you have a very small flare. Put it on the numbers, obviously a nice long runway, but yes, I mean, we don't even demonstrate the type rating of flaps up landing. We do both a trailing edge flap asymmetry and a leading edge fault, so you can look at both those issues. Both of them are incredibly rare. I've never had flap issues in my entire career, so the combination of both of them, impossible. I would say impossible, but lottery winning odds, let's say. Thank you very much for your donation anyway. Guys, I will have a look at some of the comments on chat as well. I know I forgot to get the APU up, haven't I? There we are. Well, it's certainly easier to taxi without ATC. Passengers always grumbling. They always grumble when you divert. They think we didn't do a good enough job. I've had that before. I've diverted. The passengers say, "What are we doing here?" So, well, sorry, do it on purpose. So yeah, if you ever are as a passenger and you've diverted, it's not because you've done it on purpose. It's because, you know, we've had to do it for whatever reason. And the guys will be, they would have worked hard up front. They always do. You always do when you work hard. It's not just flying an aeroplane. It's you're managing everything and liaising with ops and stuff. So yeah, never be mean to crew who have diverted. It's annoying as passengers, annoying as hell, but it's all done for your safety. There we go. Right, we'll get the AP on the bus as soon as we can. There we are on the bus. 2 blues and a red. Engine's dead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Well, I say unplanned. We knew this was coming, but welcome to Vilnius. Passengers aren't happy. They're a little bit disgruntled, but at least a lovely demonstration of a go-around. The go-around was very nicely flown with the mod. Everything worked nicely. What we set up in the FMS as well, you can now practice. Perhaps if you want to go on VATSIM as realistically as possible, get to your minimums, go around. Hopefully you can perhaps use this stream to reference, to practice some diversions as well. And it's been very beneficial for me to have a practice as well in the mod, so when it happens to be eventually at work again, it will. This will have helped, but it's been really cool. Let's have a look at some of the comments here, Ben. Simony Bob said, no excuses for the landing. Yeah, a bit of a float there just to ensure that butter, to appease the butter lovers, let's say. Danny, are there times where the pilot gets to actually choose where to divert, considering the two airports are both the same distance from the original destination and the weather is same at both divert airports? Great question, Danny. That's why at the planning stage we already know where we'd like to go. Now things can change en route, weather can also be nowhere near as forecast. That's why when we see at our destination, we see the weather's going to be below minimums within an hour of our ETA. We have to have two alternates. We take fuel for the furthest alternate, and as I was saying several times during the stream, we have this planning minima to ensure if it's, say, a Cat 2 approach, we have Cat 1 RVR minima. If it's a Cat 1 approach, we have MPA minima. So you're pretty much making certain that those alternates are solid, and you have two of them, and you have fuel to get to the furthest one anyway. So if you are not able to get to the furthest one, you should still get to your other one. And don't also forget that our Simbury flight plans have 4 alternates on them. 2 is the minimum required, but we have 4 alternates generated, so you can just pick one of them. The chances, unless you're at a remote destination, of not being able to get somewhere, you know, is pretty much zero. You know, there's always options available, and it gives us so much flexibility. But you can't plan for every in different eventuality. There's too many variables. Lots of butter emojis. Does anyone know how to say butter in Lithuanian? No. I don't actually. I'm sure someone will say in chat now. Adjay said, wouldn't expect anything less. Hope you're doing well. Adjay20 is a member of the channel who's also an engineer on the 737 and Airbus. He answers so many questions in our members' Discord. It's great. I always appreciate that, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Jason said, I'd both love and loathe a diversion. More time in the air. Oh. Very good. Domino Mosina says, look what's behind the Ryanair 738. Is that a TDG thing? Oh, an MD-80? What have I missed here? Or Domino Mosina, it's probably something I've not realised here. It's a very outdated scenery by TDG. Probably meant to be something there that I've missed. I think this might come off now as well. What else did you lovely people have to say? Passengers woke up completely lost. Yeah, he would be if he's been asleep the whole time. Deep Space says, why did you change the type of fuel gauge you used to use the circular one without the total reading? I'd like to change it up a bit, Deep Space. The 737 have different options, so sometimes I use the conventional round dials. Sometimes I have the digital ones like this. Domino says, smash the like button. Let's beat 500 likes before the stream ends. Diversion surely deserves a like. Yes, everyone's been dropping off now because we've landed, but yeah, 500 likes would be awesome. Win32 Dev says, hi from Microsoft, great stream, back to coding. Thanks for popping in. Great. Ray check-in was trim air. Trim air distributes hot air to each zone in the cabin from the... Imagine a pack. The pack's cool bleed air and then condition it. And then instead of changing the temperature of that air, we add hot air to control the temperature in each zone. That's what trim air does. Oh, Domino Mosina says both the MD-80 and Tupolev 154. Ideas for next streams? Yes, MD-80, the feeless Tupolev we've not streamed in a while as well. That's still in Duxford. But I think the 727 is going to make an appearance sooner rather than later. Very cool. Teg said, I did my IFR training in Katowice and Vilnius. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, unfortunately, we couldn't get into Palanga today. I probably design or build a stream soon where we can pop in today, because I actually I downloaded the series freeware, but yeah, sorry I couldn't get in today, but I think you guys really enjoyed seeing the diversion, so pretty cool. Right, I think I've caught up with all the comments there, so we'll call it a day. Sorry we didn't get the 2 sectors done, but it was essentially 2 sectors, and as I said, you've just benefited from seeing a nice little missed approach and diversion, so very enjoyable. Decisions I made there will be very similar to what I would have made in real life. In fact, I only think the main difference would have been perhaps we would have gone to Katowice instead of Vilnius, because it was a bit closer and commercially beneficial for the airline. But Vilnius was the planned second destination for the stream, so that came into decision making. But otherwise, yeah, it was nice. The mod performed well. We were on 342.6, latest public version, so yeah, I'd recommend 347.6, sorry. So I recommend grabbing this. And yeah, really, really cool. Excellent. So we'll call that a day. We'll get rid of the Fly Live overlay and get my music ready for the replay. Turn this down. Sweet. And we'll cue the funky replay music. There we go. Right, so I'm not going to put the replay back all the way to watch the go around because it'll break X-Plane. But let's have a little look at that landing. Yeah, it's a little bit floaty, I must confess. Just to get that butter in. Keep you all happy. Crank that music up. My goodness me, look how close those trees are. Yeah, I think that needs adjusting slightly. Nearly became a lumberjack today. Whoa, yeah. I was just about a foot off the runway and I held it off a little bit too long. Nice though. On the default runways, usually you find the touchdown zone markings are all wrong. I mean, here's the aiming point. The aiming point should be around 300 meters. That's about 160. It's way too short. No, that's Ortho 4XP, a nice little cloud right over the top of the runway. Yeah, unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be many payway airports for Vilnius and Explain that. Flow deck to Sims in chat, so jump that through. Unbelievable. Came in a little bit hot over the threshold. Rate was around 800 feet per minute. Maybe a bit more. Very cool. Oh, little FPS. Stutter. Got a tower view. Yes. First time in Lithuania. There's the check. Close. Hold the altitude. Just about. Yeah, if I'd just done that 5 foot lower, would have been nice. Excellent. Cindy Bob, great stream. Thanks, Captain. You're most welcome. Thank you very much. Amber Live, thank you so much. Nice meeting whoever I met. Thank you very much and welcome to their channel. Always welcome here. And we'll call that a day. Right, what view are we going to go for then? Let's go for let's go for wing view today. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you very much for popping into another Flight Deck Sim live stream. Very, very enjoyable. As ever, to all the moderators who came in to run the stream, help me moderate chat whilst I'm busy. Thank you so much. To all the members, thank you so much for the continued support as well. To all the regular subscribers, and thank you to you as well for coming in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and to everyone that donated. Very generous. It's never ever needed on the channel, but I always appreciate it nonetheless. Guys, next live. Well, I'm actually working this week back in the simulator. I'm so excited for that. Doing a bit of social interaction because we're still in full lockdown here in the UK. So I'll be in the sim this weekend. I might stream on Saturday because I'm in the sim on Sunday. But I've got some prep to do for that, which I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So yeah, I'll be definitely streaming the next 3 days or so. I'll have a little bit of think about what to do with that one. Might be live on the second channel, Flight Deck Sim Gaming as well. But as ever, stay safe. Don't forget to like the video. Did we get 500 likes? Oh, 497, so close. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, I'll be releasing a brand new tutorial tomorrow. I just need to finish the editing. So I'll have something for your Friday nights, which you find educational and new. I won't tell you any more than that. Right, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.